Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Now, usually, I start with the whole little music thing and then I show all your comments and all that stuff. But tonight we have such an exciting guest. I just wanted to jump right into it. So I appreciate all you guys waiting. There's like 20 of you guys just sitting, chilling, waiting for the stream. That's why I love you guys, man. You guys are incredible. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So Kurt 24 was first this evening. So Kurt, my friend, you waited 12 minutes. You tried to give it to somebody else, and I love that about you. You're such a giving individual. Kurt 24, who was also a channel member. Congratulations, sir. You, sir, are owed at least one high five. So congratulations. Also, who else? What other channel members we got here? So we got Kurt 24. Now, this is being challenged. Dangle Matt said that he was first, but it was deleted. So I don't know. Let's say Kurt 24 and Dangle Matt were first this evening. Great to see you in Sport Brand, brother. I got your message. I'll definitely holler at you, man. All right, so let's go. Excuse me. And say what's up to all the other channel members. All right, we got Man Against the Masses, our resident meme artist. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Another channel member. We got Robert Ribbit. What's up, man? Good to see you. Another channel member. We got, let's see, Kurt 24, Man Against the Masses. Joe, my man Joe Morris. What's up, brother? Another channel member. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Great to see you. Great to see you. Another channel member. Hey, T for Tejas, my man. What's up, man? Good to see you, dude. Glad you're here. And Mark Tucka, Mopka, great to see you, man. All these channel members, this is incredible. Let's see. Mark Tucka, Kurt 24, 717, who actually was there at the Freedom Crew University live stream on Friday night. And I know that takes commitment because it's a new platform. We're working on it. It is funny enough, it's a new platform. It is censorship free. You can show firearms, you can do whatever you want, right? And oddly enough, the live stream was about censorship and cancel culture and how the elites are basically programming the general populace. Well, you know what? We'll get on that another day. We'll get on that another day. Anyway, 717, my brother, good to see you. Another channel member. Let's see. Man Against the Masses, Kurt 24, 717. Hey, Misty, Miss Wayne, good to see you. Another channel member. And of course, her husband, Ron Wayne. Great to see you, both channel members. Now, I'm curious if you guys, I've asked this before, but I've never seen an answer. Do you guys just sit next to each other on two devices watching the same stream, or are you guys in different places in the house? Like I always was curious just how that worked, but I do love it nonetheless. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Let's see. Misty, Ron Wayne, Misty, Misdemeanor, Ron Wayne 717, Kurt 24, Ron Wayne. So I'm just making sure I can't miss anybody, right? Especially for such an incredible guest. I have to honor everyone that's come in here. Let's see, Kurt 24. Hey, there he is, Jeff Cron. What's up, brother? Another channel member. Let's see, Johnny Ba, channel member. What up? Hey, Ron, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Another channel member. Man, look at all these channel members. This is crazy. And hold up, aren't the tactical turkeys supposed to be live? What are y'all doing? Come on. But Big Fish Little Boat, great to see you, bro. Let's see, Kurt, Ron. He's at what's up? Okay. All right. Now, of course, all the honorable mentions, you guys know we got Vanessa Kitty, we got Sport Brand, we got Fire Otter, we got Big Fish of the Boat, the Tactical Turkeys. Go check them out. They're an excellent channel, and they just hit 100,000 subscribers. Warsaw Patriot, you've been trying to track me down for like 2 weeks, and I'm just a terrible person to get a hold of. I'm sorry. Just please forgive me. I'm, running around crazy. Flying Rich, what's up, brother? Good to see you. And everybody else, man, thank you so much for coming in. So tonight we have a very fun guest. Now, if you watch Classic Firearms, if you watch YouTube, if you've been to SHOT and IVAD range day and like all the things, right? It's likely that you've seen this person, but I used to watch this person, I used to see, and I used to just kind of see through the video and be like, you know what? I think this person is just like secretly super fucking based. And that's why I know I'm self-editing, forgive me, but that's why I had to have him on to kind of have a little bit of a deeper conversation with him. So everybody, welcome. You may know him as Magdump Morgan or Clint from Classic Firearms. Welcome, Clint.
Well, what's up, man? Appreciate the intro and everything. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And so
Well,
I do have one question though. Do you cuss on your show or not?
yeah, I do. I usually kind of wait. I give the first like 15, 20 minutes just because if you start cursing like right away, they'll just, kind of stomp the
Okay, all right,
video
all
out,
right. So I won't drop an F bomb right away. I'll just say screw the ATF,
There
repeal
you
the
go.
NFA, and all taxation is theft. All right, so I'll just go ahead and say
Yes,
that.
beautiful, beautiful. I obviously, I don't really give I don't really care. Sorry. I was already going to go off right. I don't really care if about the monetization thing, but it's,
Mhm.
when videos are monetized, you know what they do. They pump that
Mhm.
out to everybody, right? So,
Right.
it's good to see people like yourself actually having kind of a chill conversation, learning more about you, instead of, the scripted. And we love the scripted stuff too. Flying Rich Firearms, thank you, brother. I ate breakfast with Clint at SHOT Show. Okay, nice.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, hopefully I didn't turn you off too bad, you know?
Actually, you know what? I think he mentioned that. I think he was near you. I don't think he actually like sat down and broke bread with you, but
Oh.
that so
Well,
he
I've said it every time, man. Anytime somebody runs into me at the range, at the bar, at SHOT Show, whatever, feel free to come say hey. I'm sure I'll have rounds to share or at least a beer or something. So,
hell yeah, awesome. Well, for the people that don't know or may not know, let everyone know kind of who you are, what you do, and where they can
yeah,
find you.
man. Yeah, dude. So, hi everybody watching. Thank you guys for tuning in with DLD After Dark here. So, I am Clint.
Yeah,
You guys might recognize me if you're on, I guess probably on YouTube. From the Classic Firearms YouTube channel, started, on there a couple years back now, and since then we've grown to four channels total. Now we're starting up a fourth channel that's just going to be kind of like I guess you could say like viral type stuff. CF Reels is what we're calling them. CF
nice.
Reels, I think that's right. Yeah. So when we
Oh yeah.
blow up, ATVs or Priuses or mag dump 50 cows, it's kind of like gonna, stuff that we hope, will get spread virally, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, but no, I'm Classic Firearms. That's online retailer and selling everything that you could ever possibly need as far as outdoor shooting, whatever you might need. But of course, we also are really on our YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
that's well, we do a lot of stuff there, including a lot of I don't know if I can say the G word on here, but
Yeah.
let's just say there's a lot of guns that wind up in the hands of other people at no cost, right? And that's really what we got known for, are those aways and things like that. So
Hell yeah.
but yeah, me personally, yeah, magged up
Uh,
Morgan.
y you talking about
Yeah.
giveaways? Absolutely, you can say all
Yes.
all you want. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right, great. Yeah, so giveaways, all of that. So
Ru Rudy Fang,
yeah,
thank
man,
you, brother. Appreciate you becoming a member. Thank you, brother. Sorry, go ahead.
awesome. Nah, you're good, dude. But yes, that's really what we became known for. And now we're just doing all the we're doing our own live streams too throughout the week and stuff. And our channel is really diverse as far as who we like to have on it and things like that.
Yeah.
So we recently added Kaya to the team, Sarah to the team, at the peace of mind underscore. And of course, everybody knows Matt, who's actually the OG, who's been on the channel and at work at Classic longer than most of us combined. So
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
I've definitely seen him, and it's kinda funny. It seems like you guys kinda, pick on him, and he's like the vet, the OG, which is hilarious. But
Oh,
I'll
dude.
tell
Well,
you what.
he's awesome, man, and he spits it back too. Like the man
Yeah.
is smart, and he's so quick that sometimes he'll like insult me, and it'll be like, "Wait, computing, you son of a," you know?
Yeah, it takes a second to kinda put it together. It's funny
Right?
too. Classic Firearms doesn't just have Classic Firearms. Like initially, I remember when I like first heard of the company, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
dope!" Like Milsurp and shit like that. And I went looking, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is everything." And I will say it was cool too. Like I forgot what it was. I think it was like some Smith and Wesson like 59s or something like that, and 5906 or something. And I
yeah.
clicked. I was like, "Oh, that's not a bad price. Let me look through that." And it was like, you know, just like run of the mill, whatever, hand picked. Like, but you had like different grades. I was like, "Damn, this is actually pretty fucking cool." It's like shopping at the store.
Yeah, man, our Classic Firearms, that was our bread and butter, and that's a funny take on the name. We used to actually be just on, like, Classic Arms, but somebody actually had bought the URL to classicarms.us way back when. So
Bastards.
So yeah, so the company got ClassicFirearms.com, thus was born Classic Firearms. And so yeah, dude, I mean, because Ben, who started the company, but in 1989, he started it ultimately with the sale of a couple of Mosin Nagants at a gun show, and he was like,
Wow.
"Oh, well, that was pretty easy. I sold these for like $40 each, and that was fun. And let me see if
Yeah.
I can find some more." And next thing you know, he started making friends with importers and finding people overseas that might have some cool stuff. And man, the company's just growing so much, all because of him. And he's still with the company too. He was the OG YouTube, the face of the company before me, and he's
Okay.
still with the company. And he's literally one of the most solid and kind individuals I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. So
That's awesome, man. Hell yeah.
yeah.
I've actually only known Classic Firearms as
Mm.
Clint, the face of Classic Firearms. Like, of course, I see all the other people in the videos and shit too,
Like,
right?
"Where's
But
Ben?" Yeah, right.
yeah.
There's always people, "Where's Ben?" and things like that. And man, he's still with the company, and he's been doing it for, decades. So
Actually,
also,
we got
yeah, I was gonna say, I wanted to shout out, I saw, Tanner Sitterman in the chat over there, and I just wanted to say, "Hey to you, buddy. I'm not drinking any scotch tonight. I've actually got one of my local brews here, no cream, no sugar, coffee blonde ale from Sweet Union, not sponsored." But
nice.
but
Hell
but
yeah.
they're a local brewery. I absolutely love the guys. So, cheers.
Hell yeah. I was drinking some Red Bull stout. Now I got some
Red Bull stout, nice.
some seltzer, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm weird. I drink seltzer and shit like that. I want to shout out to Tap In Productions, who said he got his first AR pistol from Classic
Mm.
Firearms. Hell yeah. That's what's up.
Dude, that is awesome, man. That's something too that's really cool is, not only are we, the YouTube channel and everything, but we've got the business side of things. And so we really get an understanding of, like, especially when it comes to laws and different regulations that are put out and all sorts of different illegal shit that the ATF does, and how that affects us, not only as individuals, but on a business side of things too. Because something I think a lot of people might be kind of like lost on them
Mm,
is that, like, let's say a lot of anti-gunners get their way and they ban all semi-autos or what they consider assault weapons, which aren't things.
yeah.
It's kind of like the economy is already in the tank as it is. You really not realize how big the gun industry is and how much damage that would cause.
Oh
No,
yeah.
people don't want to think about that. You know what I mean?
No, of course not. And it's interesting, you look over the last few years and see what's happened to our economy, our domestic
Yeah.
production of energy, and our relationships overseas. And it's like,
Yeah.
damn, it's almost like this shit is being torn apart on purpose.
It kind
Dang.
of seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how conspiratorial we're gonna get tonight, but we'll see where it takes us. I knew
Oh yeah, we can get into it. I'm cool with it.
hell yeah. I knew when I first watched one of your live streams, because I always, saw you on videos, like hard videos and
Mm.
shit. But I saw you do a live stream, and somebody had asked a question and you were just like, fuck the ATF, like put aside, obviously, and you were being facetious. You would never encourage anyone to break federal, state, or local laws or anything, but like basically like put a stock on it, kind of joking around. And I was just like, damn, this dude is pretty fucking based. So I knew, here I'm cussing already, sorry. But yeah, it's like I was like, damn, I knew I had to have this guy on. So welcome.
Well,
You're
yeah,
in
I
good
appreciate
company.
it, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, but I mean, at the same time, like, I get it. Like I said, we're running a legal business and things like that, so we're not going to do anything illegal, right? Of course.
Yeah.
But at the same time, all gun laws are infringements and therefore aren't legal. So, take that
Yeah.
for what you will.
Dark's next strike in three,
Three, two.
two. Dude, I've
Right.
been dealing with constant strikes,
Mm,
man, since January. It's
mm.
been crazy. That's actually why our first show that we were talking about doing earlier got delayed. So I appreciate you being patient.
Yeah,
So I
man.
looked
No, I
into
totally get it.
yeah, man. Thank you. So I looked into a little bit about you, and my first question was gonna be the first pistol that you fired, but I actually came across that story.
Mm,
But,
mm.
go ahead, let everyone know, the first pistol as a kid when you grew up, like, the first pistol
Yeah.
that you fired.
Yeah, it was actually a 45. You know, I mean, so growing up, my dad, he had a really strict rule that, look, I'll let you shoot any gun in my collection. You know, open up the safe, point at it, I'll let you shoot it. But the first thing you got to do is show me that you know you can manipulate it well, you know the controls, and you can field strip it and put it back together, right? And so, I mean, and the age every now and then differs for me. Like I know for a fact I was about 7 years old when I shot his M1 carbine, but the
Mhm.
pistol and the shotgun it goes a little bit further down the road, and I'm like I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I know I was young, and
Yeah.
I'll never forget. You know, really, it was the most intimidating thing. Him watching me like a hawk whenever I took apart the 1911, got it, and then I was putting it back together and I had to use like something to push down on the you know the actual the bushing and everything to be able to get it out and all that type of stuff because I just didn't have the hand strength as a kid to do
Yeah.
it. But it was putting back the slide release, and I
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
oh my god, I'm gonna put the idiot scratch on his gun. Oh Lord, what
That's
am
what I
I
was
gonna
gonna
do?
ask.
You know, it was a 1911. For those asking in the chat, it was a Colt Series 70 1911. I still have it in my collection. He left it to me when he passed, and I love that gun. But yeah, I was a little dude and we took it out back and man mag dumped the hell out of it, 7 rounds through it, and thus was born mag dump Morgan, you know.
I was gonna say from that day on,
Yep,
Magdump
yep.
Morgan.
Yeah, I say mag dumped it. It's not like I was an ace and just immediately pop 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 pop. It was
Dum, 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 dum.
holy shit, you know, and then like all right, okay, all right, let's do that again, you know, and
And
eventually got it
1911s are
out there.
pretty controllable.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean for the
1911s are
most
pretty
part, you
controllable.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Now, not as much, you know, not as little recoil as like, you know, what most people start their kids off with like a 22. But my
Yeah.
dad was like, nah, no son of mine's gonna, you know. Yeah, so
Yeah. Something original, brother. Thank you for the super chat. He says, "What
yeah.
are your opinions on Ukraine? I'm for the support and defense. Also, happy 500-day anniversary of the 72-hour invasion." Interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing, if you guys don't know this, just before we dive into this, is something original is a very unique individual. And what I mean by this is he's unique in the fact that he had a self-inflicted 32 ACP gunshot to his hand on accident.
Oh,
So,
ouch.
yeah, negligent discharge, well, accidental discharge. He said it slam fired when he closed the slide. So, something original. I hope your hand is healing even more than the last time we spoke.
Yeah.
So, sorry, you want to answer that, or you?
Yeah, you know, I the entire Ukraine situation, it's hard to it's hard to actually figure out if I'm for it or against it, right? It's another one of these things where it's like, dude, are we really getting involved in something else that probably isn't going to affect us, honestly? You know, we are like, are we really going to be sending more resources to a country that has done, like, I don't mean to be a dick, but at the same time, what have they done for us? Right?
Yeah,
I mean, like, let's be honest here. We're already how many trillions of dollars in the hole? And what now all of a sudden the Republicans and Democrats are working together again to actually start working on a resolution to send NATO into Ukraine. So when the Republicans and Democrats actually start working together, go ahead and expect World War III, right? So now more and more of our blood, right? America's men and women going to be sending troops overseas for what? You know, for
yeah.
what? And like one of like what Tanner just said too. Yeah, you're welcome for the shout out and everything, man. But I see it, you know, money laundering. It's kind of like and what and they said that what 662 what $1 billion was sent on accident because of a typo or something because somebody fingered some numbers.
I've
Yeah,
never had a typo
I don't
like
know.
that.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, and you know, and somebody else too, Farmer James saying Ukraine is killing Russia for us. I don't know how true that is. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, a lot of the information that's being fed to us, I don't trust it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of
Yeah,
propaganda coming from both sides. And I think a lot of it is, hey, you know, we're going to tell the American public this so that way they finance that and they feel good about it. And then all of a sudden it's kind of like the Russian propaganda coming from them. They're storming this, storming that, you know, whatever the hell it might be. But
yeah,
my personal feelings on it right now is we got way too much to focus on at home
yeah,
than all the support we're sending right now to a country that has done absolute jack shit kind of for us. But at the same time, initially, I was kind of like, oh, fuck the Russians. You know, they're here they are pulling their bullshit again. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so it's kind of like, mm, where where are we going with this? At what point does it end? Because are we going to have another 20-year endless war that has actually devastated and killed more civilians like what we saw in Afghanistan? You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's kind of
yeah.
like What I don't know. To answer the question, my opinions on it are, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it because I know at the same time there's innocent people losing lives and things like that, and we do have a position of authority still somehow that where we can go help these people. But at the same time, are we really willing to send the resources and even potentially personnel over there when we really have a hard time keeping it together here? Have we not looked at what our recruiting numbers have been the last year? It's the worst.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're approaching, if not already surpassed, pre-World War II numbers, which is very, very small, very bad. We're more concerned with people's pronouns than we are actually effectively training our troops for warfare. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, what do we do, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and just like everything else, it's become politicized,
mhm,
Daddy Daughter Podcast, thank you for the, channel membership, I appreciate that. And Tanner, before I hit your, chat in a second, so I kinda agree, was in a similar place, like, of course, your heart goes out when,
right,
they're people, right? They're real life people that are being attacked and all that shit, and I couldn't wrap my mind around though when it first happened, right? And all of these people that are screaming, you know, take Americans' guns, take they don't deserve to have this, they should not have this, no one should have a weapon of whatever. And then they're like, these people need guns. These people need guns. Give
dude.
them.
I mean, Brandon Herrera, whenever he went, what was it, NRA last year in Houston, right?
Mm,
I'll never forget. I was walking out of the NRA convention, and we were there doing our show coverage and everything. It's not like I agree with the NRA, and it's not because I don't think, put it this way, all I'm saying is the NRA, they're good at what they do, which is right now being a punching bag for all the other anti-gun lobbyists that are out there in Congress and everything else that just want to blame the NRA for everything, while you have organizations like Firearms Policy Coalition and Gun Owners of America that are actually doing the work. So you know what,
yeah,
NRA, keep being the face and keep taking the hits. We don't give a shit about you. But
yeah,
with that being
mm,
said, as I was leaving the NRA convention, I was getting yelled at. We were getting heckled and all sorts of stuff. We were being told to go kill ourselves. They were telling us that they were fucking our moms, and it was these two gross looking things that I think identified as women, that were yelling these things, right? And
mhm.
sure as shit, that those are the two women that Brandon Herrera interviewed on his video, where he actually got them to sign up for the Firearms Policy Coalition, right?
No
And
way.
I thought it was the funniest thing because he asked them, you know, like, well, what do you think we should do? Like, well, first of all, it was really funny because he said, can you believe that there'd be somebody amongst us that just has rooms full of AK-47s? And then it zooms in on him and his gun room, and it's like the funniest shit. Like, I know that's so scary, right? And so here, here he is interviewing the same chicks that were yelling at us. And it was
Yeah,
so funny because he asked them, "It's like, man, it's almost like we should just collect all the assault weapons here in the United States and then deliver them to the people that actually need them in Ukraine." And she's like, yeah, we should do that. And it's like, do you not see the irony in what you just advocated for? You want
mhm,
individuals, you want citizens of a nation that under attack to actually have access to weapons of war.
yeah.
No shit.
It's just unbelievable that they can't compute, right? Like, they don't understand, and part of this, and this is one of the things I talked about on Friday night, was that they're basically a popular message is installed within them, right? A lot of times they
Yeah,
don't even really believe what they're saying. They're just going with the mob mentality or whatever you want to call it, right? They're
right.
programmed to think this thing, and then they start saying it because it affirms it, but they also feel smart and, think they sound smart. Then their friends at work and shit say the same shit. And then, so honestly, they're not even like truly using logic when they're, taking these beliefs in. Because if you actually question them on these things, if you get past two or three questions into a topic with them, they either get
Mhm.
frustrated and leave, or you provoke thought in them. And then they actually are like, oh shit, do I really think this is true? Tanner, thank you for the shout out. It says, hey Clint, good to see you, man. I know you already hit this one. You're faster than I am. Appreciate the shout out. Hell yeah, Tanner, thank you for being here. And Daddy Daughter Podcast sent a $5 super sticker. Thank you. Yeah, I
Awesome.
appreciate that.
So yeah, so to kind of relate to that, dude, that's one of the things too that I find with a lot of anti-gunners and people that really actually just don't see eye to eye with like my thoughts and beliefs is what I advocate for anybody listening is, don't get up in somebody's face and try to yell and scream, because you're not gonna. That's not how you persuade anybody to see your side of things, right? And so what
Yep.
was happening, like at the NRA convention, man, that was just, or the NRA annual meet, that was just dude, all you're doing right now is actually furthering my beliefs that actually I should be carrying a gun right now, which I was. I was definitely still carrying that entire time. If you go back and look at the video coverage, you can see I'm printing pretty good. But
Nice.
anyway, but all they were doing was making me feel more and more comfortable knowing that, oh, I've got a gun with me because you're fucking nuts. And
Yeah.
but let's go back to this logic talk, because I don't know if you see those clips from that dumbass whatever podcast,
I've seen
but
some, yeah.
so it's like a panel of women, panel of dudes, and one question was brought up, and the woman answered like this. She was asked, if you had multiple home invaders, would you rather, and they didn't have firearms. Let's say they were all, hands and fists, whatever,
Mhm.
hands and feet. And would you rather your boyfriend, husband, significant other take on five dudes at once with his hands and feet, or would you rather him be armed? And she's like, well, if they're just breaking in, they don't need to die for that. And it's like, dude, hold up now. Wait a minute, time out. So would you her moral high ground was, I'd rather my husband risk his life and potentially die because these five guys are just probably breaking in because they're hungry, instead of the fact of the matter probably being they want to murder you, rape you, take advantage of you, doing whatever they possibly can. If you've got multiple home intruders at any point in time, they're not probably there because they're hungry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me make them
So
a meal, like, what?
don't get me wrong, I'm actually a really kind dude, and I feel like all sorts of sympathy towards people I see begging on the street and stuff. And usually, my little sister actually started doing it. She keeps actually little bags of like water and a sandwich, and if she
Mhm.
sees like a beggar, she'll hand it to him, and she'll know real quick. And I keep telling her too. I was like, "Got a gun when you do this, right?" Because some people might get pissed off. But as I found out as a unarmed security guard downtown Charlotte, I found out real quick, you can offer to pay for somebody's meal. You can offer them
Mhm.
food out of your hand, and they will
Yep,
actually get pissed off. Some, not all of them, some will
yep,
actually get pissed off and said, "No, I asked for money." Oh,
yep,
okay. You know what? Fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Anyway, don't know how I got there, but
yep. No, dude, I'm with you. I'm one of the ways that I end the show is talking about, be kind, live a life of care,
right.
compassion,
Yeah.
contribution, right? That's kinda like, my thing too, right? And I give to people all the time, but you can tell, just like you said, right away when, they're asking for something. I'll tell him a lot of times, I'll be like, "Look, I'll go buy you a meal right now." Most recently, I bought
Right.
a dude a meal at McDonald's, and I could tell by the gratitude in his eyes that he actually was, like, truly hungry, right?
He
But the
was
people that are
genuine.
just
He
looking for
did help.
money.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, typically, they're either doing it as a profession or,
Right.
they're doing it to get drugs or alcohol or whatever, and, by
Right.
the way, shout out Risky Krisky is in the chat. Risky Krisky, if you have you ever seen his channel before?
No, I have not. Mm-mm.
Dude, he has an incredible channel. He's been doing this for less than a year and is at like
Mhm.
50,000 subs. Check him out. He's a really, really great
Yeah,
dude, but also awesome channel.
I'm curious as to what he's referring to as 3 inches.
Yeah, hopefully he was talking about shotgun shells. I'm not, not
Hopefully,
certain.
3-inch magnums up in here. That's just letting you
Yeah.
guys know. 3 inches
Yeah.
is considered a magnum.
Oh,
Uh,
he he okay, save the day. He was talking about a grouping, okay, in a target. All right, that's fair.
oh,
That's
okay.
fair.
All right. There we go. There we go. All right. Cool. Cool. Cool.
So
At
just to
least we know.
kinda yeah, right. So just to kinda, polish off the thought on Ukraine, the thing
Mm,
that's really challenging for me, number 1, I feel like almost every single thing that the government does is corrupt somehow, right?
yeah.
So I'm always
Absolutely.
looking for, like, what's the catch, right? With what tiny little bit of control we may have left just as individuals. But, Ukraine specifically has been like the hub for illegal money laundering and
Yeah.
political scams for decades. And I
Hmm.
kind of feel like what's gone on in Ukraine and why would we be pumping it so much, right? Like why are we
Right.
pumping so much money and resulting in blood over there? And I kind of felt like the reason may be, and of course I'm, uh, Mr. Conspiracy according to YouTube apparently, but um, I kind of feel like it may be that that's their way of like burning the shoebox of receipts. You know, they're like, "Fuck
Hmm.
this. We're just gonna burn it all, shut it all down." So there's no trace of any evidence. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it makes sense to me because you're absolutely right. Like, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really like study much of Ukraine or anything like that till all this stuff popped off. You know what I mean? It was just another
Yeah.
country that was over there that was threatened by Russia, right? There's a bunch of them. So, what's another? And it
Mhm.
was one of those things, I've got actual friends of mine that are from Ukraine, and she's gone back and tried to do all sorts of medical work over there and everything. And she's done some really cool stuff. And Guard Dog Body Armor company I'm really close with also, they actually like sent her over there with all sorts of plates and plate carriers and everything like that to help support those that were fighting and everything. And I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
Again, I don't know what they're exactly fighting for at the end of the day. I get like there's an invasion taking
Yeah.
place and that these people are ultimately fighting to defend themselves, and that I'm all for. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things where it's like, man, it's almost like you kind of wish you had a Second Amendment over there a bit. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Right.
but
I saw a
ultimately,
dude. I just want to add this really quickly. I saw a picture of a dude in Ukraine in full kit with a
mhm.
fucking Keltec sub 2000. I was like, bro, first off, how did you get that over there? Right. Secondly, God bless you for going into into combat with a 16-inch 9 millimeter PCC. Like, that's nuts.
That guy in full kit with the sub 2000, man, first of all, plus 10 for style. He
Oh, yeah.
is he's gonna make it. He's
He's
gonna
like, I
make
can
it, dude.
fold my shit, bro.
He's on top of his shit, dude. I mean, like I said, plus 10 for style. Man's a legend.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Now, I
Yeah.
know there are some PCCs that you enjoy, but, like, what's
Mhm.
your go-to shit? Are you still, like, the Mark 18 guy? Are you kinda switching over to, the dark side, to some
Oh, dude,
piston-driven stuff?
I will always love my Mark 18, right? I will always love it. People know it for a fact. But I'm also the first person to say too, that's kind of like my toy. I have it all decked out, all heavy and shit and everything with a bunch of stuff I'll probably never need because that thing is fun for me, right? At the
Yeah,
same time, I also know, and as I like to keep all of my other firearms, if I need it, it's going to work. And it's a very reliable gun. But it is
yeah.
also the gun I have the most rounds to. It's not gonna be the gun I pick up if I hear the bump in the night. It will be the gun I pick up in the bump in the night when I hear that bump in the night whenever I have my Aero Precision 300 Blackout upper on it.
Nice.
It's a little short, upper, it's about 8 inches, and on top of that, I've got the Huxworks new 7.62 Flow titanium can on it, and I absolutely love that setup. EOTech and a Surefire with a pressure pad, and that's really how I kinda keep it at night, and I love it.
Was that what you had, next to your little, the kit
Mhm.
cross, the Home Depot kit
Yeah.
cross?
Yep,
Nice.
that's it. Yeah, that's it, man, but no, I do love, PCCs also, I really do, like, the CZ Scorpion with the Franklin Army binary trigger is a shit ton of fun.
Oh, yeah.
But I've also got, another bedside gun is my, AP5 from Century Arms, that I've got completely decked out also with a binary trigger in it because, again, if you're running 124 grain through it, it runs flawlessly. 115, sometimes the binary's reliable, but not always. But 125 with the suppressor on the binary makes that damn thing fly. It's awesome.
Yeah, that shit rattles. So funny thing is, I have both. I have Scorpion with the binary trigger, and at a few feet away from me is the AP5. I guess the K, right, with the binary trigger in it. John Crump Live. Thank you for the $2 super chat. He says my ice skating partner.
Dude, yes. So John Crump and I, when we were in DC for a GOA convention type of thing,
That's right, the
uh,
super secret event, right?
yeah, dude, it was actually like they had us out in a house in the middle of nowhere that you could definitely tell some backdoor dealings took place here, and I'm pretty sure there's some bodies left in the swamp somewhere. But anyway, this place was cool as shit, and but we were looking for something to do one night. I don't remember exactly what the specifics were, but uh, ice skating was on the agenda. And it's like, you know what, dude, I'll do some freaking ice skating. Let's go. And I wasn't too bad. I actually was doing pretty good. Nobody else was really out there with me until Mr. John Crump shows up. And man, he and I are out there. And then somebody wanted to bet me like I wouldn't, like they had the little penguins that kids can hold on to learn how to
Yeah.
ice skate. And then somebody was like, Clint, go steal a penguin. And I really thought about it and I was like, dude, if somebody saw me steal a penguin from a little kid trying to learn to ice skate, That would be really, really bad, and that's the only reason I didn't do it.
Oh, I totally thought you were gonna tell a story about how you got the penguin.
No, no, because the bet was I'd have to take it from a kid, and I was like, "Dude, if I saw an adult using it and it looked kinda funny, alright, then maybe I'd try to steal that penguin." But I'm also
Yeah.
not trying to, like, get into a fight because I'm stealing a penguin at an ice skating rink, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Slip them
Because
10
I can
bucks,
imagine.
like, "Yo."
Yeah, because I can also imagine, if I were to see, a kid of mine with his penguin out there, "Look, dad, I'm doing it," and then some asshole in his 30s come over and try to yeet that thing, I'm going after him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, I literally I just saw a reel today on Instagram. Thank you, Crump, by the way. I saw a reel on Instagram today. I don't know, apparently a bunch of people have seen it. These 2 kids are arguing, and they're arguing over, like a cricket stick or paddle. It's like some
Yeah.
Australian shit. And, she's like, "The kid won't give it back to me. It's mine." And the dude is, like, yelling at the kid. He's like, "Give it back to her, give it back to her."
Mhm.
He finally gives it back to her, and the little kid pushes his little daughter. So he smacks the kid in the face, and then the parents run over, they're like, "John, what are you doing?" He smacks the now this is all like a skit, okay? He
Right, right,
smacks
right.
the dad, and then the mom is like, "Are you crazy?" Smacks the mom, and then everyone else starts walking up, and he just goes through
I
and
have seen that.
smacks.
Yep,
Dude,
I have
I
seen
was
that.
dying. I just wasn't expecting that. I was dying laughing,
Yeah,
dude.
then the
It's
police show up and he slaps them too and everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
that's
even does
great.
the double slap for the 2
Mhm.
cops. Dude, it was
Yeah,
impeccable. So whoever made that out there, you're doing
it's
great
it
things.
yeah, it's pretty funny, but going back to John Crump, excellent dude, man. I'm sure your viewers are, not, unbeknownst to them who John Crump is, but I mean, just keeping
Yeah.
up with everything 2A related is, I mean, yeah, Mr. Crump, if you're still watching, dude, I hope you're doing well, and look forward to seeing you again, man. And 10 out of 10 would recommend his channel.
Oh yeah, man. He's great. A lot of people report on things, and some people have earned the title investigative journalist, and man, he's one of them. He's a hell of a dude, and he is up on his shit for sure.
Yeah,
Crump is a good personal friend of mine, and also a friend of the channel.
that's awesome. That's cool, man.
Smash Time also has a great channel, $10 super chat thing. Is that 10 euros? What the fuck?
That
What
that
is that?
that is that looks like, yeah, it looks like 10 euros.
Smash Time, where are you at, bro? I thought you were in, like, Georgia or some shit. Maybe
That's funny.
a different Georgia? I don't know. But thank you either way. Clint provides cliff notes for my channel reviews.
Oh, that's
Recently,
awesome.
it was
Yeah.
Prism Optics. Learned a lot. Okay, that's what's up, man.
That's great, man. Look, I gotta tell you, before I took this job and things like that, I thought I knew some things, but now that I'm trying to produce as much VPN, bro, smart.
That's
Um,
great.
but I will say that, like, you know, after getting this job and being so much more into the industry and just finding all the products and all that type of stuff, but also all the technology and then learning all the different things, right? I have
Yeah,
learned a lot because if you'd have asked me 5, 6 years ago what the hell a Prism Optic was, I'd have been like, "What?" And now I've had the opportunity to test them, to compare them, to do all of this, to be collaborating like with Swamp Fox and like trying to figure out like, hey, maybe I tweaked this, maybe I tweaked that. And it's like
yeah,
really cool to actually like learn so much now. And it forces me to learn too, because if I just keep it where I'm at, then all of our viewers are just going to get regurgitated same old shit. We put out a lot of videos and we don't want to bore them with same old shit. You know what I mean?
yeah. I
So
mean, you
so
you
I'm
do an
glad. I'm
excellent
glad.
job. You know
Yeah,
your shit,
appreciate
and
it, man.
yeah, for sure, dude. And dude, I will say though I haven't tried any of Swamp Fox's Prism Optics, the the Primary Arms Prismatic 1X, the
Yeah.
Cyclops, that shit, that's on my 10-3, and that thing is it just gives you so much more reach in a otherwise smaller package. Not as small as Risky Kriski's 3 inches, but
Yeah.
relatively small.
Right. Well, that's awesome, dude. Yeah. So I've got a little experience with Primary Arms and some of their optics, but not a whole lot. At the
Mhm.
end of the day, they're kind of like a competitor, right, with classics. So, I'm limited about what I can actually do and stuff. But at the same time, I can also say that, like, hey, companies like Palmetto State Armory, who's technically a competitor, like Brunel's, like Tactical Shit, like Primary Arms, these are
Mhm.
great dudes. And I consider my friends
Yeah.
like actually like friends with them, And I said this too when we were at a Fort Scott Munitions Battle Line to a rifle course with Chris Tonto Peranto, and
Yeah, yeah.
TJ from Tactical Shit was there. and love the guy, awesome dude. And I've said it, we might be competitors in the industry, but at the end of the day, we're both advocates and fighters for preserving the Second Amendment. You know what I mean? And so we're all for it. Caleb from
Oh yeah.
Brownells, same thing. He and I are mutual friends, fans. And I'll
Yeah.
never forget first time meeting him. He comes up to me and was like, "Dude, I've been following you for so long. I actually used some of your material, like some of your information in some of my videos." And I was like, "No shit, I've been following you for so long. I do the same shit." And we
Yeah.
get Slack pictures together and stuff like that. So it's really really cool. And but anyway, but yeah, so I'd be very interested to try out more of primary arms optics and stuff like that. But at the same time,
Oh yeah.
there's so much out there, which is awesome.
Oh
It
yeah.
gives great diversity and allows us to go out there and actually, like, especially hold accountable all these different manufacturers, because it's like, hey, if somebody puts out an optic and says, "Oh, this is the best of the best for this price," you kind of can compare it to a bunch of others and say, "Is it though? Let's
Yeah.
test that." You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah, Primary Arms, I know for a fact, makes quality stuff for an affordable price, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. And I know we all kind of have like we get like addicted to brands, but I kind of like what like
Mhm.
in watching you, and I learn a lot from watching you as well. Cuz some things like I can't necessarily get my hands on, right? Like
Yeah,
I may have handled an MR556 but not
yeah,
necessarily like a 416 or
right,
whatever, but like I see you and you're like, yeah, you're not like you're not like one of the brand boys, right? Like you're not like, but this HK
yeah,
MR556 is gold. You're like, yeah, it's kind of fucking heavy and it's a little, you know what I mean? Like you're honest and I like that. I like that about you, and I know a lot of other people admire that as well.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, and, like, don't get me wrong, there's some manufacturers out there that are my favorite, but I'm not afraid to call them out too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for
Like, don't get
sure.
me wrong, like, I know SIG, and I love SIG, and I love Daniel Defense, I love FN, I also love all these other different manufacturers that are out there, but if I pick up a gun and I'm like, "Damn, this gun is heavy or it sucks," I say it, you know what I mean? Like, the FN
Yeah.
like, dude, FN actually, when I walked into their booth at SHOT Show, they actually came up to me, they were so excited to see that I was there, which I thought was really cool because I was like, "Holy shit, FN is like, why are you guys excited to see me?" And they're like, "We want you to try something." I said, "Okay." And they put the 510 and the 545 on my hand. And they said, "Pull the trigger." And I said, "Okay." Kind of thinking that it was going to be like the shit trigger that the 509 has in it. And so
Yeah.
I start pulling it and I was like, "Oh, okay." And it's like, "We've watched your videos and we appreciate it." Right. So I was like, "Okay." It's like, I think you'll be quite, quite happy with the trigger that we put into the 510, 545. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said before, I've already mentioned it before, and I'm sure people in the chat are going to say, "Oh, yeah, but he loves his Mark 18." Yes, I do. But I'm also the first to admit to say it's not the perfect gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like kind of like trolling with it now, like making it a thing where I have to mention it. And really, it's not the gun that I'm going to take out the 800 yards. It's not the gun that I'm going to pick up if shit hits the fan. It's not the gun that I'm going to use when I hear the bump in the night. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but it is a fun fucking gun.
I mean, usually, like, people that after a while of working within the firearms industry, you start to acquire a few things, right? It's like we got options if we hear the bump in the night. But I do have actually a question about what you may grab when shit hits the fan. But let's hit Tanner's comment real quick. Tanner, thank
Yeah.
you for the super chat, brother. He says you've taught me so damn much. Clearly, he's talking about me. I'm just kidding. You've taught me so damn much the last 2 years watching your channel, like spending money. Just got a Scar 16S with a Trigicon ACOG. What suppressor you recommend for it?
Dude, that's awesome, man. So first of all, the Scar 16 I used to talk a lot of shit about, right? I
Mhm.
was like, why would anybody pay that kind of money for a 5.56 gun? I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? And then I shot one and I was like, oh. I was like,
Yeah,
I see now why. Because I do, as much as I like the Scar, I also give it a lot of shit. You know what I mean? And then,
mhm.
when I compared it to like the Sig Spear, I was like, uh-oh, I'm not having these reliability issues with the Scar like I am with the Sig Spear at the moment. It was like over inserting the magazine. It's a one-off thing. I think that was an issue. I think a
Yeah,
couple other people have had that same issue, but I've talked to Sig about
yeah,
it too, and they're looking into it and shit like that. All right, no big deal. Um, but it's not something too that I find on every single Sig Spear chambered in 7.62 or 6.5 or whatever. So, but anyway, beyond all of that, the Scar 16S, having shot it suppressed, was honestly the most fun I've had on a 5.56 gun suppressed. It was purely enjoyable. It was flat shooting. It was the best 5.56 suppressor host for a semi-auto platform that I've shot. Right.
Yeah.
No, I haven't shot one full auto. Hopefully, I get to do that soon. But at the end of the day, what suppressor would I put on it? I'll be honest with you guys. I am having a really difficult time finding anything that's going to change my mind from the Huxworks Flow 5.56. I don't get any kickbacks from that. We don't even sell suppressors. We've just had the opportunity to test them, to see them, to literally feel, hear, smell how they work as a firsthand account, and
Yeah.
we've thrown that silencer on a lot of different guns, and because of that flow through technology that Huxworks has on it, because it's so lightweight, because it's still full auto rated, all these different things, or at least I think it's full auto rated. Put it this way, it'll take a lot of rounds more than what most of the semi-autos that we're shooting before it starts to screw up or anything.
Yeah.
And every time I've shot a gun with that, it's just more enjoyable. So
Yeah.
that would be the suppressor that I would recommend, a Flow 5.56K. It's lightweight and it's going to do exactly what you want it to do on that gun, and it's a little bit shorter too. And like, I'm a huge advocate too for like the SOCOM RC2 series.
Hmm.
I've got one, and love that suppressor also, but it's heavy. I do get a lot more, gas back into the face when I shoot with it. I don't hate it, you know what I mean? And it's definitely a durable, reliable, proven silencer.
Yeah.
And so you can't go wrong with that either. But at the end of the day, I'd go with the Huxworks.
Honestly, the Huxworks is affordable too. Their pricing is on point. I
Yeah.
do so I got an old can. I have a AAC SDN6
Mm,
30 cal can, and I mean that thing is a solid freaking steel tank. Like it's nuts. On my 10-3, it's like God. Like, do I really need suppression that bad? But
right. Yeah.
it's I love the can, but you're right, like, if you've never had to brush carbon off of your teeth from your suppressor, you've never really had a good time at the range?
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
funny enough, I've never fired, I've been around other people firing the Huxworks cans and, everyone has spoken highly of them. I've never actually fired a SCAR in 5.56. I've only
Mm.
fired the, 17S. So maybe that's something I gotta put on my, bucket list, as well. Um,
That was true for me also until we got the one that we eventually gave away in. I never fired a
nice.
SCAR 16. I just never had any ambition to. And then my buddy Brandon over at Texas Planking, he was the one that was just like, dude, you've got to shoot a SCAR 16. And so I'm literally in a group text with me, him, and Ryan, our videographer, and I labeled it SCAR 16 sucks, right? And that's the group text that I'm in with him, and I would just send him memes hating on the SCAR 16S and stuff like that. But after shooting one and shooting one suppressed, I told him, I was like, oh, I may have come to the dark side.
They are. I mean, they're just cool as shit. The only thing that and I'm not saying anything negative about it. I truly mean, like, the only thing I don't know about is their barrels are literally held in by screws, right? So it's
Mhm.
I don't know if, like, over time, do you need to I don't know. I would at least wanna put, like, how, like, on an RMR or any, Holosun or whatever, you can kinda take a paint marker and put a little dot at 12 o'clock
Mhm.
on the screws, see if they're, like, backing out over time.
Yeah.
I would at least wanna do that if I got a scar, but
Whenever I've taken a SCAR apart, because I put on one of the Kinetic Development Group rails on like a SCAR 17, I'm pretty sure they actually are marked like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, but that may have been that may have been on the actual rail. I don't remember, but at the same time, I've never had the issue. I've never seen that issue where the barrel nut or anything like that starts to loosen, or it starts to get to the point where the barrel starts to come free.
Yeah,
If you tighten them down to the correct torque setting, you'll be fine. You don't want to
yeah,
over tighten them. Obviously, we know that, but you get them down to the right inch pounds, you'll be fine.
yeah, yeah. Tanner said, "Coulda saved me 5 grand."
Dude,
Now,
it's
dude.
nah. Let me tell you right now, if you're in a position where that's within your budget and everything, that SCAR 16 it's going to be an awesome gun for you.
Yeah.
Especially if you just go ahead and purchase a short barrel for it. Up to you about whether or not you want to register that. Um, you know, purchase a short barrel because it's not difficult to switch the barrels in and out of that thing. Dude, a little shorty SCAR 16 is like it's hot, man, because that piston driven design
Yeah.
is really good with a suppressor. I mean, it just runs so well.
Oh yeah, it's designed for. I mean, it's literally designed for it. Those things are
Mhm.
just pure sex, man. They're
Yeah,
gorgeous. Little 10.5 inch. I do like the 13.5 inch 17s though. Those things are hot
they're cool,
too.
man. Yeah,
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 but
they're
Tanner,
really
you could
cool.
not go wrong with a Scar 16S and an ACOG. I mean, there are
Yeah,
dudes, knocking insurgents off of motorcycles with those things all over the place. So you're
yeah,
probably
yeah.
solid.
Yeah, with the ACOG too, I mean, that is the most battle proven optic in the world. Like you've got super durable, reliable kit just in those two products right there with the SCAR and the ACOG. So good choices.
Yeah. Now, somebody pointed out, and this is an interesting thing. A lot of people have mentioned this that the 6.8 spear was
Mhm.
designed exclusively to, penetrate level 3 armor, which is, I'd say,
Yeah,
probably the most popular civilian armor, but it won't go through level 4 plates. Interestingly
right.
enough, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I don't remember who it was. It may have been 704 Tactical or somebody like that. Actually tested some of Guard Dog's level 4 plates with the 6.8 by 51, and it stopped it multiple hits. You know what I mean? Granted, it took fewer hits to actually finally penetrate it, but it did stop it compared to like 762 by 51. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Again, I don't remember who exactly tested that. My bad. We will be testing it. Don't worry. As soon as we get our hands on a 6.8. And we also have the correct ammo too. You know that 277 Fury. That's the what's the it's the what's the I can't think of the word I'm trying to use right now. But anyway, it's the hybrid ammo. That's the word. The hybrid ammo that they have with the brass and the steel and all that type of fun stuff. But
Okay.
anyway, yeah, it was ultimately made, or that round was ultimately designed to, yes, have a more devastating effect on body armor. As far as it designed to penetrate that type of body armor, there's a lot of things that can do it, but it also has to be compromised because not everybody wants to carry around a 50 BMG. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the end of it all, is it more capable? Yes. Is it going to be more devastating at greater distances than what 5.56 is? Also, yes. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. The other thing is too, like, guys, if you have a 20 inch like an H bar and some XM
mm,
193, you're punching through level 3 plates too,
oh
so
yeah,
you
yes,
know,
you
so
are.
it's
For
I
with a
I
much
don't.
lighter setup too, and one that's easier to maintain or manage that recoil.
Oh yeah, big time. I don't. This is going to be one of the rare instances where I say I don't believe that the 6.8 spear was necessarily designed to use against civilians with level 3 armor. However, I
Mhm,
love preparation and precaution, so just get
mhm.
level 4 plates, bro. Just
They're
solve
out
the.
there. They're available.
Yeah,
And
solve the issue.
yeah, and as far as like I'm seeing Tanner in the chat again too, just for body armor, or are they preparing for something to come? And it's they should be preparing for something to come because right now they're also evaluating and testing a lot of the near peer type of equipment, so China, Russia, stuff like that. And whatever it is that they might be wearing. I don't know exactly what their body armor is capable of stopping, things like that. I think Russia said that they had some body armor that's capable of stopping 50 cal, and I think they look like, freaking knights going around wearing this stuff or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you got to think to all that added weight, you're not going to be combat effective. You know what I mean? You're gonna
Yeah.
you're gonna fatigue. You're gonna tire out. You're gonna pass out from dehydration. You're gonna overheat. You're gonna die. And it's not because rounds
Yeah.
are hitting you, but it's because you've dehydrated.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know.
facts.
So
They're gonna
so
be running around with that armor with no camelback on. They're,
right. So
yeah.
that's one of the things too, and when to take into consideration about this type of stuff is there's level 3 plus plates too that are effective at stopping 7.62 NATO and things like that. But something to take into consideration is you got to be mobile. If you're just standing there because you're fatigued and your body armor is too heavy, then your body armor is going to have a really good effect at stopping bullets, perhaps, hopefully, right? But if you don't
Yeah.
become that bullet sponge and you stay mobile on your feet and you move and you get your cardio up, you'll be a lot safer than the put it this way, if you have the choice to being shot and not being shot, let's try to not be shot, right?
Good choice, yeah.
Yeah,
I
right? So stay mobile.
yeah, I think that's one of the most important things. A lot of times I kind of feel like and I'll say just within the community, right, 2A community, gun community, which it almost kind of pains me to even say that, right, because it's a natural right that all of us have. But hey, we are where we are. Um, in the 2A community, this is almost like fantasy. I don't even know how to put it, but it's the fantasy of like the WROL or SHTF. I mean, don't get me wrong, like
Mhm.
I prep daily for anything that may, or even may not happen, right? But I think there's a little bit of a kind of a glorified, like, fantasy kind of thing with this. And it honestly, if there is a 50 cal armor out there, right, that may or may not be used against us, guys, just remember that even if it can stop 50 cal, it can't stop RDX and Simtex. And so just, work with chemistry and stuff too. But no, all jokes aside, man, RDX is great. But anyway, having the ability to shed your armor, having a QD, system, if you
Mhm.
need to crawl through a small hole or hop a fence or whatever, you can't get, like, let's say you can't get through an area with your gear on or whatever. Having the ability to shed it and maintain your defensive tools is important. But like you said, Clint, the number one thing that I've been working on this year is physical strength, physical fitness, and
Mhm.
I haven't been committed to it as as my original intention at the beginning of the year, right? But just getting like it, if I can't run, a few miles without gear, right, without
Yeah,
dying, from just losing my breath and shit, like being physically fit is super important, and
it is.
will be worthless if we can't, you know, um, move at a high speed if needed,
Yeah, I get a lot of I get a lot of exercise when we shoot like some of those like really good LARP videos for some of our giveaway intros,
Yeah,
because everything you see there is actually what I would wear. Like typically, I've got my tracker plate carrier with level 4 plates in it. I've got sometimes water on me and stuff, full battle rattle type of shit. And we might have to take a video like through like 3 or 4 times, and I'm shooting that same take where it's like, okay, cool. Well, hey, we're gonna get you running through the woods, and then you got to start engaging that target. And we're gonna get that 2 or 3 times, just to make sure everything flows well. And then we're gonna move, and then you got to drop down to the prone, and then you got to get up and shoot again, and then you do that 3 or 4 times, and it's like, dude, this is a workout, right?
oh
And
yeah,
so that's the other thing too, and a lot of people like to kind of make fun of like the oh, you're just larping or you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm like, and like when was the
LARPing
last time you
is
yeah, it was like, when's the last time you actually went for a run, bitch?
yeah, LARPing
you
is
know
a workout straight up,
Mm. Yeah, it
100%.
really is, dude, and I think it's good for you, and also too, I think the more and more we that have a platform put out that type of content, and we make it more and more common, that's even the better, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
it's not an uncommon thing for people to want to own nods, a helmet, another body armor, battle belts, and stuff like that. It's not uncommon whatsoever. The shit is fun. It's cool, right? There's definitely a fun and cool factor to it, but at the end of the
yeah,
day, if Ukraine 2.0 pops off over here in the United States, and a lot of people might look at that and be like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we'll see that happen." It's happened before, guys. It's happened
yeah,
in recent history when you have a natural disaster. Next thing you
yep,
know, people are going crazy, right?
yep,
And and I like to think to myself, I have an unfair advantage because I do have this type of equipment and I know it and I've trained with it and I've practiced with it and I am in physical enough shape to actually be wearing it for long periods of time. And I know I'm not to the point where I want to be. I've actually fallen back a little bit with everything else I've got going on in my life. I've got to really focus on physical fitness and stuff like that. But with all that being said, it's something that I think a lot of people need to start focusing on as far as, yeah, having the gear and equipment's cool. But if you can't wear it for 3 or 4 hours at one point while running drills, you're going to be another casualty.
yeah, 100%. And I think that's one thing that the influencers, the YouTubers, the whoever, right? Like, we need to make being physically fit, running around in full kit, like we need to make that shit cool again, right? Because you
Right.
typically don't see the fitness world and the 2A world like really meet unless you see, someone like posing for some, like whatever, some cheesy ass pictures or something. So I mean, I this kind of brought me to the point that I'm at right now where like initially it was just going to the range, whatever. I lost, unfortunately, I had my buddy had land where we could just go shoot whenever we wanted every
Yeah,
weekend. We made a range and it was just perfect. But
it's awesome.
unfortunately he sold his place and we lost that. So it was just like damn. So back to the shitty indoor range. But
Mm,
I
yeah.
started kind of going to classes more, doing more training, doing more carbine courses, and then I was like, shit, I need better kit. So then I started building out a battle belt, and
Yeah.
I actually switched over from my Glock 19X to a Beretta M9A3, and a
Oh
lot of
wow.
people
Okay.
don't like that, right?
Yeah,
They're
that's
like,
that's funny. Yeah.
yeah, like, hold on, you're the Glock guy. You're the guy you build Glocks. That's like your whole thing. Like, why? I
Yeah.
know it's crazy, but I cannot shoot like okay, when I go to shoot my Glock 19X, I put up a silhouette. When I go to shoot my Beretta M9A3, I put up the quarter size sticker targets, right? Like
Hmm.
that I can just drill, like I can just chase bullets with that shit. It's an unfair advantage. But
Yeah, the M9A3 is an excellent pistol, and it is definitely an accurate pistol as well. The biggest thing with, the M9 is a lot of people would say, "Hey, they got a locking block designed to break." And really what it is there's actually a piece in there that's supposed to take the brunt of the force, and that's what ultimately breaks kind of like saving other, parts of the gun. And the reason that that happens is because people aren't maintaining their guns. And I'm not saying maintaining like just a basic clean. What I'm talking about is take a look at it this way: that recoil spring is a spring. If that bitch starts to wear out, then all of a sudden that means that that locking block is taking more and more abuse, right?
yeah, yeah,
Which is gonna which is gonna ultimately expedite the wear and the eventual and inevitable breakage of that part. So if you take care of it, and you maintain it, and you make sure that that spring maintains its integrity, then you'll be good. And there's a good
yeah,
way of testing that. If you have a round seated in the chamber, and if you just let it ride all the way up and then let go, then it should lock into place. It should go into battery. If it's not going into battery without having to be racked, then it's time to go ahead and change out that recoil spring.
yeah.
But other than
That's a
that,
good
didn't mean
point.
to cut you off, but I just wanted to say the M9A3 is solid.
Oh no, that's an excellent point, and I appreciate that. There is no interruption on DLT, so you're good to go. That's how we get the best conversations.
Hmm.
But that's honestly, it's like that little the little wedge locking block thing. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the gas tube on the AR, right? Like it's
Yeah.
it's designed to fail in an effort to save everything else on the gun.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I did switch. So I switched to the M9A3 purely because of, accuracy and speed. I can get sub 1 second draw to first shot when I draw that shit from an OWV holster. It's a
Nice.
Safariland Ranger holster. And I could do that with a Glock as well, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just bitching out because the one downside, right? When like all your boys, like when you all rock the same, your kit has like interchangeable magazines and ammo, that's a
Hmm.
really comforting feeling. Like if I go
Yeah.
black on ammo, I can be like, "Yo, throw me a mag," and
Right.
if I'm rocking a Beretta and all of my guys are carrying Glocks, I'm like, "Shit." So I still have the QLS system so I can pop that bitch out and put the Glock back in there
Yep.
if needed. But I'm still efficient with a Glock.
Yeah, and that's something that take into consideration too, and a really good point because first of all, having a fire team is really really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get a group of guys together. That's awesome. What's even cooler than that is you have a fire team that's also local to where you're at, and you guys are all pretty close. That's really really cool. On top of that, what's also being really really cool is you guys. Now, this might sound a little cultish, whatever, but you guys start forming your own type of community and you start actually taking care of your own property, your land. You start actually making renewable resources. You have access to water. You start looking at farming and things like that. Now, all of a sudden, you're doing what the government doesn't want you to do, and that's being independent.
Yep.
And you can take care of your shit because, well, not only you all tacticaled out, now you got friends and family that are the same way. So if you can go out there, be an outreach into your community, be a point of contact for anybody that might just have questions, right? And some people might say, hey, it's difficult to get involved. I live in a neighborhood or whatever else. And I want to kind of say to you, it's kind of easier. Just go walk down the street and start introducing yourself to your neighbors. and then
Yeah.
just start finding the like-minded people. Then you start finding allies. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah,
Excellent
it's good to
point.
know what
Excellent.
it's good to know what your buddy's kit is, so that way if you do go black on ammo, yeah, sure. And also too, you know where their med kit is because you don't want to use your shit on them. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. That's why the med kit's on the back, you know?
Right,
But I
right.
do and I do I wanna, hear about your kid too, but I forgot just to tie up my thought, the kind of reason I was going this direction was to say that, like, when I started to I already had a plate carrier, which is like, when you're kinda getting into it and you're like, "Alright,
Mhm.
I want armor just because I've already got everything else, like, why the fuck not get armor too," right? So I ended up getting
Yeah.
armor, and, my first set of plates were actually level 4 plates, interestingly enough. Usually people
Mm.
grab steel level 3, but then I was like, "Well,
That
I need
that
a"
that was me.
the you got the steel level 3 plates?
Yep, I got a Premier Body Armor level 3, came with the spall liner and all that type of stuff. I didn't know any better, and, but, that was fine.
I mean, in a pinch, like, dude, if I would much rather have that than nothing,
Nothing.
y you
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
Mhm.
and people are like, "But the spalling." It's like, dude, I know. I'd rather get nicked on my chin than have a 5.56 blow through my, vitals.
Yeah, so, I'm trying to actually get him on the podcast, but again, since we're talking about body armor and stuff, and I've got the most experience with Guard Dog, and I know the owner, personally. He, sent me an email or showed me an email with a picture attached to it, and a guy in Ukraine wearing their armor, took a round. And I'm trying to get him
Mm,
on the podcast to talk about that situation, and so I can learn too, like, hey, why did you find it, reasonable to fight? You know what I mean? So much so that you actually got hit. But here's the catch to it all of it, because I think it would be a really cool conversation and something very interesting. But
mhm,
the thing is though, whenever he was going through TSA, whatever airline, whatever the hell it was, they didn't
mhm,
take his steel plate. They took his spall liner and said that that was soft armor and that he couldn't have it. So when he got hit, he didn't have the spall liner on, and he took 7.62, whatever the hell it was, 7.62 by 39, I'm pretty sure.
mhm.
But anyway, and he took that spall, and yeah, he had all sorts of bleeds under the chin. But what he
Yeah.
didn't have was a sucking chest wound.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take that
You
all
know,
day.
so yeah, so there's a picture of him giving the thumbs up at the hospital, and the dude looked beat the hell up, man. And but at the end of it all, I was like, that's an impressive story. Like, let's try to get him on the podcast and let's talk about this and talk about actually, like, this is an individual that actually, I've talked about it before. I've shown it on our channel. Like, hey, you can see the spalling. You put up a white target on either side of a plate and you shoot it, you'll see it cut into the targets and everything,
Yeah,
right? We showed it on ballistic dummies and everything else like that. The metal shards coming into the underside of the neck,
yeah,
all of that shit sucks. And this guy survived that, and I thought that was really really interesting. And yeah, JC9, it could be a 5.45 by 39. Um, uh, but I don't recall exactly what it was that hit him. But at the end of the day, he took a round, survived, got the bleeds, but
yeah.
ultimately is doing okay from what I understand. So
I
interesting
is there a way
shit.
that we can help get him on? Like, do you know who it was? Do they have an Instagram or anything like that? Because my
Mm-mm.
goons
No, no,
will go find him.
yeah. No, I just have to contact the owner of Guard Dog again, which won't be difficult to do, and just say, hey, have you talked to him? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And see see what they say, because I've already mentioned it, because they also mentioned that there's another guy that got hit too that I think had their ceramic plates and is alive to tell the tale. And so it's like, man, okay, well, let's see if we can get these guys on, because I think that'd be a hell of a. I mean, first of all, it speaks volumes about the product, and secondly,
yeah.
I think it would just be really, really interesting. And yeah, Mark, I think ballistic beards would be where it's at. You know?
I just saw that. That was fucking epic, dude.
Yeah,
That's if you need time growing it out. I got a little bit of a neck beard. I haven't shaved in a little bit, but
yeah, man.
um,
I gotta shave mine soon. I got drill again coming up, so.
oh yeah. So you're still active?
So I'm actively serving in the reserves. I've never was active duty or anything like that in the Marines,
Okay.
but I am in the Marine Corps Reserves, and it's been about 12 and a half years. And yeah, so
Damn.
I got a, yep. So, I'm I'm a pretty lazy Marine when it comes outside of drill. I don't shave and stuff like that, obviously. And I know a lot of people are like, "Hey, you're a Marine 24/7. You need to maintain the standards." Okay,
It's only
I,
out
I
of
like I
regs
like my
if you're
face better with the beard. Yeah.
yeah, it's only out of regs if you're being judged at that moment, you know, so I don't blame you. You do what you want.
Oh
So
yeah,
Gerchop is, one of our, he's been a viewer forever, probably since the very beginning. He would
awesome.
like you to give him a shout out if you could.
Well, what's up, Gerd Shop? How you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in and appreciate you, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
commenting too.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, he needs a little bit of extra attention, but, he's worth
Oh,
it.
okay.
I'm pretty convinced that he may actually be watching from a literal jail cell, but that's a whole nother conversation for, another day. Um,
Sounds like my kind of guy.
yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah,
spot on. Yeah, whenever
yeah.
Gerchop, whenever
Oh,
you're released, we can, run drills together and train and shit like that.
yeah. I'm just gonna go to say it. If your crime was tax evasion or NFA violation, you didn't commit a crime.
Boom. Solid. See, I told you guys that Clint was fucking based. Come on, man. Um, but so through all this, right, through like, building out the battle belt and the plate carrier and all this,
Mhm.
and then running classes and, like you're saying, like getting down and up, doing push-ups and then running your gun. And it's like,
Yeah.
holy shit, like I'm not in fucking shape. So that's really what pushed me to be like, all right, like Dark, you gotta get your shit together and get tight. And if you cannot, run, X amount of miles rocking your gear, then you're potentially worthless. And the commitment to get night vision was when I was like, all right, if I'm gonna get, you know, a I'm just getting a single tube. I got my bump and I got my Wilcox, and next I'm getting the tube. If I'm gonna put that much into this, then I need to be in good shape for me to, number one, look cool in the
Mhm.
gear, but number two,
Right. Right. You gotta
actually
look cool,
be
man.
effective. Yeah, yeah. So you get it.
Oh yeah, dude. You gotta look cool, man. If you don't look cool, it's not worth doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And are you rocking a PVS 14?
I am, man. I just got a little single tube. It's what I know, you know? It's a little, Gen 2 green tube, you know what I mean? And,
Nice.
nothing fancy whatsoever, but I train with it all the time, and anytime I take a night vision course, I'm not trying to, like, blow smoke or anything, you can tell that there's a lot of guys out there that, they bought it because it was cool, but they don't put it into practice at all, and what I've
Yeah.
said is, "Look, if you're gonna spend that kind of money on this, use it. Go out and might your neighbors might think you're crazy, but at least you'll be efficient with it. Go out in your yard, go take a walk through the woods with your night vision on. You'll find out really quick that your depth perception goes to shit, and that if you want to focus on something up close, you can't focus on something far away. So you got to figure out what the hell you're doing and where your focus is going to be at. If you're, um, an elitist and you've got yourself dual tubes or something, um,
Yeah,
first of
right.
all, good on you. That's awesome. I am definitely looking to play the PVS 31A,
Woo.
31As, I think. I want that. That's like a goal of mine at some point. We'll see. I'm trying to get like really close with AGM, and hopefully they just be like, "Yeah, here, review this." I'm like, "Okay, cool." But
Yeah.
I doubt that'll happen
It's
because
a T
night
and E, but you can
visions.
keep it.
Yeah, right. Those are the best, man.
Yeah.
But and few and far between. But at the end of it all, yeah. Yeah, depth perception. So, like, what Corn Pops just commented, depth
Yeah.
perception sucks on single tube. Binos for the win, Pano setup. That's awesome, you know. But at the same time, if you practice with it and train with it, you can get good with it. You know what I mean? So that's all there is to it.
Damn, PVS 2.
Hmm.
Yikes. I mean, dude, as long as you're running it and as long as you're
Do it.
effective with it, fuck it.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of dudes that are 3D printing, tubes for digital night vision, and they got an IR laser. I just got my first IR laser, and everyone's gonna laugh at me when they find out what it is. But I saw, are you rocking a PEC or what do you have on your 10-3?
So I've got a PEC and a D ball. I've got a Atapol, however you say it. But anyway, it's the PEC 15, but it's a civilian model. 0 out of 10 would recommend. The red laser is cool enough. It's got an IR laser, cool enough, it works. But the IR illuminator, it's non-adjustable, so it's just where it's at.
Mm,
So that really sucks. I mean, you get the cool factor because it looks cool. It's a PEC 15. You know what I mean? It's clone correct or whatever.
yeah,
Don't get the civilian model. Go out there. This is America. Go out there, find that LE or military only. Buy that shit. Um, uh,
yeah,
Now
and
what
Integrity
I
Firearms, just to throw this out there, one of our
mhm,
viewers, Integrity Firearms, is like the spot for night vision. I know, we have different relationships, but Jonah is a great dude, and he's helped me a lot, but, show them some love, but there's tons of guys out there, you guys check them out.
yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, the D-Ball L3 is what I'm running on the Mark 18, and that one's the green laser, and that I love that one. That one is really, really cool, and one that I would recommend. Of course, these things are, and that's a Steiner D-Ball, but
Nice.
they're expensive. You know, they're expensive. What can I say? If you're gonna get into night vision, it's a whole because it's not just the tube. Now you got to think about the mount, and if you look at like the Wilcox or like a Rhino mount or something, just a mount alone is a couple $100. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then you got to find a helmet. If you're getting a bump helmet, great, but just know that's a bump helmet. That's not ballistic. It's not going to take a round or anything, right?
yeah, yeah,
So now you got to find yourself. Let's say you want to find yourself a ballistic helmet. That right there, man, that can range anywhere from five to a few thousand, depending on what you want. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
500 is what I'm saying. Then from there, now all of a sudden you got to start thinking about the equipment that's going to go on your gun. You need the technology that's going to be able to actually cast that illuminator, that's actually going to cast that IR laser, whatever else it is, because the entire point of night vision is not a giving away your position, right? So you don't want to go with
yeah,
with a you know a visible laser or anything like that. So
yeah,
yeah, it gets expensive quick, which is really unfortunate, but hopefully with the innovation and technology now that's coming out, Hollow Sun, for instance, is really starting to step it up quite a bit. They're doing all sorts of cool stuff, and they're getting into the night vision IR game, have been for a little bit. And there's
yeah,
stuff out there that's, pretty cool that's coming from them that's not gonna, make you take out a second mortgage or anything, but,
yeah.
that's,
Dude, and
that's
that's
that.
I mean, you nailed it. Like and I noticed there's a few questions here and there, and even in my last stream. So what Clint's saying is like, first off, you need a way to mount the night vision, right? So skull
Yeah.
crushers are a no go, right? So get
They're called skull crushers for a reason.
exactly, right. You should get a helmet. I just got a bump, right? But that, let's say a bump for 350, right? Then you get a Wilcox 350, and maybe more, right? It depends,
Yeah.
right? I kind of got a little bit of a deal. Maybe they're better deals elsewhere, but I got those from Jonah with Integrity Firearms, and I'm actually looking at so I found you heard of Noise Fighters? Their
No.
J-arm?
Oh, yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So they kind of fabbed this really interesting J-arm to connect, the tube to the mount, right?
Mhm.
And they got a couple other access points in it, so you can kind of move it a little bit more. You can
Yeah.
tuck it, and it's creative, but it is made through additive manufacturing, so it is 3D printed. Now,
Oh,
not just traditional like, Ender 3 3D printer, like we got mad 3D printed stuff that I actually sell a bunch of 3D printed stuff on DLD hardware. Check it out. But for jigs to build guns and shit. But
yeah. Shameless plug there. Yeah.
yeah, just a little one. But they like they're using like a $12,000 3D printer with like a dust filament or some crazy shit like that to make these, and I was like, well, I wonder if I could use some crazy like CF6 or CF12 carbon fiber nylon to print J arms. So we are in testing with carbon fiber nylon J
That's
arms,
cool.
and we're
Mhm.
trying to look at like how we can improve them to stow your tube away in the best possible way without bumping shit all the time, because we realize that somebody's going to hang $3 to $15,000 worth of equipment off of this shit. So
Right.
it may take a little bit, guys, but we're working on that. Um, but yeah, the night vision game. Somebody had asked like, why would you get an IR laser? So what Clint's talking about is your ability. Think of when you throw on a plate carrier, right, and you shoulder your rifle. You're like, fuck, this is uncomfortable, right? and then you throw on a helmet, and then you're like, "Oh man, this is a little awkward." Then you throw on all your kit, your belt, your everything, right? And then you bring down a, let's say, a solo tube, and PVS 14 or something like that. All of a sudden, your ability, everything you've been training for your entire life, just shooting a rifle in a flat range, goes out the window, right? So
Yeah.
your IR laser is an aiming device for you to, aim your rifle. And my first, actually, so no one else can see the IR laser unless they're wearing night vision or on digital night vision or something. But
Right.
one of the interesting things is my first laser, I was looking at like getting a full power, like, Leo laser, but my
Mhm.
first laser is actually sitting on my Beretta M9A3 in my gear right now. It's the Hollow Sun,
Oh,
the
yeah.
PID dual. So it's 1,000 lumen white light, and then it's green laser, and then there's an IR laser built in too. So I may
Yeah, it's
actually
cool.
start with that on my rifle just to actually have something functional I can use.
Yeah. No, and that makes a lot of sense too. I mean, it's gonna work, you know what I mean? And it is a whole different ball game, and it's a lot of fun, and then all of a sudden, let's say now you actually start using red dots on your pistols,
Mhm.
and that is because the only way to, aim with that is passive aiming, so you have to use the reticle on your gun, and if you're running a monotube or whatever, you actually have to find that red dot, with a pistol, and it's actually a lot easier than what it sounds because it's shows up so evidently well. But it is one of those things where you're having to collaborate. Like if you've never shot with a red dot on a pistol before, and that's a challenge in of itself until you get good with it and you build up that muscle memory and you know where to start looking, right? And then
Yeah.
now let's say you've got to now start getting used to running nods. Okay, cool. That's a little bit different. Depth perception is going to be different. What you're actually seeing versus what's real, things like that. And now all of a sudden you have to collaborate the two to be able to get shots on target accurately and let's say hold a decent group. It's a whole different ball game, and you have to train differently because also if you're running a monotube, you run with on the non-dominant eye. So now all of a sudden you're having to line up your sight with your non-dominant eye as you're trying to run your pistol, and it's fun.
Dang.
It's a lot of fun. So there's things to take into consideration too if you want to run a pistol with night vision and things because you can't use your iron sights. No, you can't. That's
Yeah.
they're going to be out of focus and everything else. Maybe I haven't really tried this, because I don't think my brain is wired to work this way, or perhaps maybe anybody's is. But if you have night
Mhm.
sights on your pistol, maybe you could try to use like a bend-in aiming concept with your night sights that might overlay with your night vision, but I don't see that happening. I don't know. I haven't tried it.
So,
I've
are
always
you
just seen where
saying, like in the movie Wanted, you can bend I'm just kidding. You
not
can
at all.
turn. So,
No.
question, can you see the glow of tritium under nods? I've never looked at tritium sights under nods.
So that's I don't know. I would like to think yes, um, but I've always used a red dot. What I'm getting at is, if you're familiar with what the Bindon naming concept is, which was ultimately designed, the guy's name was Bindon, and it was ultimately designed for the Trigicon ACOG. If you have a illuminated reticle that's magnified, you have a magnified optic that with an illuminated reticle, and it's designed to be shot with both eyes open. What your brain will ultimately do is take the information that it's receiving and overlay it. So this eye, your dominant eye, is focused on the reticle, right?
Mhm.
This eye is focused on the target. And what your brain will do is actually overlay the two. So you'll still be able to get accurate shots off, even though if you're close quarters, you're not focusing on the magnified optic itself. Might be a little bit hard to explain here without kind of showing. And this is all in relative to close quarters, by the way, because a magnified optic at distance is great. If it's, fixed at close quarters, not so great. However, if you keep both eyes open, your brain will be able, it's smart enough, it will be able to overlay the two, and where your reticle is aiming on your target, even though it's close up, you'll be able to make that shot and be able to engage effectively. So it's
Mm.
pretty cool. Now, what I'm trying to think is maybe that same concept can be put into effect with night vision. If it's completely dark, you can't see your target. However, your non-dominant eye with your monotube is illuminating the target because it's night vision, but
Mhm.
you don't have a red dot on your pistol, so that's not going to show up on your night vision, but you have tritium sights. So your naked eye might be able to pick up the tritium sights, overlay that onto your night vision illuminated target. You know what I'm saying? Is it
Dang, yeah,
possible? I don't know. I haven't tried it, you know what I mean? But it's
yeah,
also kinda like it's wild to think about because I'm trying to take the same concept that I would use in daylight with a magnified optic and put that at night with a non-magnified iron sight, you know what I mean? So
yeah, yeah.
so I can tell you right now exactly what I'm gonna do because 'cause I'm gonna go into the warehouse tomorrow, put on my kit, turn off the lights, and try to do that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know.
So
Let me know what happens. Something like some shit will show up on thermal, right? And some things won't, and I'm kind of surprised here and there. Then some shit will show up on night vision, and some shit won't. It doesn't have as much IR. It doesn't absorb IR as much, right? Like leaves and shit like absorb
mhm,
IR. Like it's kind of crazy. And man, if anybody out there has an opportunity, if you can throw on some nods and just go out and look at the stars, dude. That's
yeah.
honestly what sold me on night vision was like, oh my god, like every single star like on the planet, I feel like I could see. It was incredible. But I will
It's
say
always so funny, yeah.
you explained that bend aiming beautifully. That was perfect. That at least it connected with me. I was like, damn, that makes sense.
Cool, yeah, I appreciate that. It's something that, that we're taught in the Marines, because ever since we've been shooting with the ACOG anyway, it wasn't the standard issue optic, until 2012 or so. So when I went through boot camp in 2011, we were on iron sights. And then we switched to the ACOG, and the ACOG was like cheating, man. I mean, it was just so easy. You know, I mean, you don't have to make any adjustments or anything. You get your zero. I mean, it's got the bullet drop compensation for you out to like 800 yards or something. We only use it for 500 yards. Using a 20-inch M16A4, easy day. You know what I mean? Like it just made life
Yeah.
easy. And I say all the time, if you're not an expert shooter in the Marine Corps, you can't shoot. I'm sorry, I may have hurt some feelings, but at the end of the day, that's how it is. And it's known distance. It's not like you have to guess what range you're at or anything, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
um, but you're right too, dude. I mean, there's so many people that as soon as they get the night vision on and they're putting on for the first time outdoors, they immediately look up and like, "Oh my god, the stars." I'm like, "You're dead. Somebody's seeing you right now walk around like, "That's cool." And it's like and somebody's like, "I'm gonna shoot that noob over there." But,
Yeah. Fucking lasers and lights,
yeah.
illuminators like shining up and whoa. you
Right,
know?
but it is actually really cool. Believe me, I've done it plenty of times. Every time I put my night vision on outside, I'm like, "All right, where's Orion's belt?" You know what I mean? It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, of
But,
course, in non-combative situations, guys. Sorry, I should have
it's so
specified that.
fun. Yeah, it's so fun. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But also Tanner has got a good question too about can any gear or firearms be a tax write-off for one of my businesses? Taxes are my favorite. Taxes suck. We all know it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's for your business, yes. I mean, believe me, we all of the firearms that you see in like all of our videos that we can't sell or something like that. I mean, damages take place too. I mean, FedEx breaks a lot of guns. So,
Mhm.
so damages like that takes place. We actually have a 1903 A3 that was broken in half by FedEx, and it's like, dude,
In half?
wow. Yeah, yeah. I'm
Wow.
like, dude, that hurts. You know what I mean?
God, a
So,
piece of
yeah,
history too, man.
yeah. It depends on your business, though. I see you. I see you. I don't have a YouTube channel though. That's fine. I mean, it depends, like I said, on what your business is. If you bought it for business purposes, then yeah, I'm not an accountant, right? I'm not a tax guy or anything, but I would try to write it off,
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
also the same guy that says, high five if you're evading taxes. So, I don't know if my I don't know if my advice is any good there. So
Yeah, good point. Yeah, the tax
Mhm.
reputation is tarnished at this point. But
Yeah,
Tanner,
so
thank you for the comment and the super chat. I
yeah,
appreciate you.
yeah, Tanner's great, man. I hope that helps. But yeah, if you bought it for your business at the end of the day, I think it's a write off. Um,
And
uh,
I heard so I at least I don't know if this is a federal thing, all right? At least where I'm at, from what I understand, if something is specifically marketing material, right? If it has your business name all over it and it's marketing material, it's a 100% write off. So maybe you should ask your tax accountant if you get a firearm or kit or whatever and you Cerakote the whole shit with your company name and use it in YouTube videos, maybe it could be a 100% write off. Who knows? Who knows?
right, right, exactly. So I mean, yeah, it makes sense to me. Again, if you bought it for business, take that tax write off,
Yeah.
Save that receipt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for you personally, what's your typical EDC? Do you swap it all? Like, what's your go-to?
So, due to the nature of my job, I swap, right? Because I want to try out all sorts of different guns, try out different holsters, things like that. So that way I can say, yeah, I've used it, and here's my honest feedback about it, right? Because
Hmm.
there's some holsters out there that are more comfortable than others, and there's different firearms that might print differently depending on what my style of clothing might be for that day or whatever. But traditionally, I've got 2 pistols that I always, like, are my go-to, and one of which right now is the SIG 365X Macro. That one is
Okay.
just I when it first came out, I was like, "Damn, that's pretty cool." It's a slim gun, 17 round capacity. I'm a capacity whore. I wanna make sure I've got enough rounds in my mag that, like, I don't have to worry about it. So, I've got 17 plus another 17 or 17 plus 1 plus another mag in my, Alpha Omega Kydex holster. And so, that's, really nice. Capacity isn't something I'm
Yeah.
concerned about. But also that gun is a little bit bigger, and I've been running the Canik Mate MC9 as, like my second choice for concealed carry. And
Okay.
that one's, I've also got an Alpha Omega Kydex holster for it, but I've actually been running it in its um uh the holster that it comes with out of the box because again, I want to give my honest feedback about it. It's not the most comfortable thing, but if I'm not having to worry about it, like if it's put it this way, if I'm going to the grocery store, okay, cool. I'm probably gonna put on my Mate MC9 because I'm not gonna be wearing it, like, all day, like, at work or something like that, you know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
comfort is key. Um, so I'm like, "Okay, cool. I know I can draw from it. It's an effective holster. It retains the gun just fine. If you're appendix carrying, then, retention isn't too big of a deal, but you still don't want it going anywhere." And
Hmm.
so the MC9 and the, 365X Macro are probably my 2 go-to concealed carry guns.
Okay. All right. Now, one of my other questions was, are you a leather or Kydex guy? But I think you kind of answered that. Your go-to is Kydex.
Yeah, I've got Kydex, and I've always trusted it, you know what I mean? It works
Hmm.
just fine, it works well. I always like the Black Point Tactical Leather Wing also. It's a Kydex holster, but it has leather on the sides where the belt loops are, so it actually forms to the body a little bit more, and it's a
Mm,
super comfortable holster. It's a decent hybrid if you guys are looking for that.
interesting. What was it called again?
It's the, Black Point Tactical Leather Wing. Yeah,
Okay, nice. Yeah, I'll check that out. Now, this next question may be controversial. Okay,
I'm for
what's
it.
your outlook on 40 Smith and Wesson?
Oh, so 40 Smith& and Wesson, I mean, put it this way, dude, it's better than nothing.
I agree.
Um,
I agree.
I will say this, it's a fast little guy, it's definitely gonna get the job done, um, but it's one of those where it's like, when 10 mil exists, and 9 mil with its modern chamberings or, things like that and projectiles, it's like, I can get more rounds with a very lethal effect out of a 9 mil for a lighter weight with less recoil. So, I think I would probably lean more towards 9 in that case.
Hmm.
And 40, if you want something with a little bit more punch to it, if you're more worried about, um, let's say, wildlife, I would actually feel more comfortable with carrying a 40 cal in the woods than I would a 9 mil. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah.
Because you know what I mean? So it depends on your situation, but at the end of that, I mean, hey, a 9 mil, there's a reason why I like 9 mil quite a bit because, well, I know shot placement, faster, accurate shots, follow-up shots is, what I like, you know what I mean? And,
Yep.
not to say that I can't handle a 40 cal or something because I also love 10 mil a lot. And,
Yep.
so there's that, you can always go 50 AE too. I mean, that's an option. So
Yeah. There
I
you go.
see it in the comments there. Yep. But
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you that the 22 plus 1 of the FN 510, holy shit. I mean, dude, you could eat a bowl of cereal out of those things.
mhm,
Like, it's incredible. But yeah, 40
yeah.
Smith& and Wesson is like 10 millimeter light or 10 millimeter short, you know?
Yeah, 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 for sure, man. But yeah, no, 40 cal, hey, at the end of the day, it's a great round and it's going to do exactly whatever you need it to do, whatever that might be. So, you're not wrong with it. I just believe that you can get a very similar effect out of a cartridge that's a little bit lighter and you can carry more of. So,
Yeah. That's a fair Switzerland, assessment on, a neutral assessment. Now, here's the real question. Do you own anything in 40 Smith& and Wesson right now?
nope.
Bingo. Boom. Gay. See, 40 is get I'm just kidding. I'm joking. No, we give all the 40 cal guys shit on this channel. So, we gotta and so like in that example I gave you of like if I ran black on ammo, my buddy could toss me a mag or something, right? For you guys
Yeah.
out there that are rocking 40 Smith and Wesson, when you're in a firefight and somebody tosses you a mag, you are going to be trying to shove a 9 millimeter Glock mag in your Glock 23 or your 27 or whatever that 22 or
Whatever
whatever.
it is.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would not want to be on the receiving end of any of the above
Of
either.
any of them.
So,
Yeah, of any of them. I don't give a shit if it's a 22. I'd rather not get shot with any of it.
yeah. Yeah. Now,
Mm.
have you ever been in a situation where you had to present your concealed carry?
No, no. So I've been in a position where I've displayed it in a sense where like I'm going for it, you know what I mean? And I've pulled up my shirt type of thing. And then it's one of those where it's like, okay, I'm in a weird situation here. And it was actually, I mean, I don't know what the statutes of limitations might be or whatever, but it was back when I was working for Best Buy and I was not 21 and
Mhm.
I was actually carrying like a little revolver with me at that time and I was working late because it was holiday season and I was always one of the
Mhm.
last employees to leave and we had a series of vehicle break-ins happening. And so I was like, dude, I'm gonna carry a gun. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I would
Mhm.
actually keep it locked up in the employee associate's locker or whatever. I'd keep it locked in there so that way it's not just, willy-nilly in a break room or whatever. I wouldn't have it with me out on the retail floor or anything. And yeah, I had like a nice thick overcoat because holiday season, no, Black Friday's coming up and stuff, and shit's getting crazy. And yeah, I was walking out of Best Buy one day, in the corner, and was walking behind me as I was approaching my Jeep Wrangler at the time, and I put my hand on my gun and I turned and faced him. Yeah, I don't think he actually saw my firearm because my hand was on the grip, and he made like a sharp left turn and went a different direction. So I don't know if it was just by me acknowledging whoever this was persuaded him
Mhm.
to go elsewhere, or it was the aggressive meaner like I will draw down on you right now if you don't leave me the fuck alone. Like you didn't announce yourself, you didn't say, "Hey, buddy," like, "Hey, my tire's flat," or anything like that. Not that that would have made my suspicion go away, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it was like, "Why are you following me?" Like where the
Yeah.
employees parked was a good 50 to 75 yards away from the opening of the front entrance, right? And it was always
Mhm.
in the back, always in we were in the Best Buy location, store 1132. It's funny, I remember shit like that. I actually think I remember my associate ID number too, which is funny. But anyway, um, it was in the way back. It was actually in Kannapolis. The store isn't even there anymore. I don't even know what it is, but Kannapolis, North Carolina, the old Best Buy that was back way in the back of that shopping center. And yeah, it was dark back there, man.
Yeah, man.
And so, I had like that little, 38 special on me because like I said, wasn't even 21 yet and it was a
Yeah.
gift and I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna keep that damn thing on me." So, yeah, there it is. But no, I've never actually had to draw, present, or anything like that. That's the closest I've ever got to it, and I'm sure legally it would have been quite some time if I actually wound up using it, but, I never had
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
so
What kinda 38 was it? Smith?
yeah, it was. I think it was like a Smith. It was one of the, lightweight ones. I think I actually talked about it in the last, um, live stream that I did, and I think it was like an Airlight or something like that. I can't remember. All I know is that
Yeah.
it sucked to shoot.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
very uncomfortable to shoot, but, at the same time, it's a good standoff gun, and it was lightweight, so
Yeah, so I used to carry a little 5-shot 38 Smith& and Wesson, 642, the hammerless one, the one with no
yeah.
hammer,
Mhm. Yeah.
and, that actually was a gift from my wife, back then. This is, forever ago. But
Yeah.
yeah, something about 5 rounds was like, I think I may wanna, take this somewhere. Like now we can carry shit with, 17, 20 rounds in a,
Right, it's crazy, yeah,
yeah, things have changed quite a bit. So
right,
I always ask people that are avid, that carry a handgun and are committed to carrying a handgun because we had Stephen Williford on the show.
mhm.
I had Stephen Williford on the show on Tuesday on Independence Day, and
Oh, that's great, yeah.
you're familiar with his story.
Oh, yeah, actually, I have him, he was a, podcast guest. I actually interviewed him at the, NRA SHOT Show, sorry, I interviewed him at SHOT Show,
Oh,
um,
okay.
uh, and, we had him on the podcast, and it was, I'm just gonna get up really quick to go plug my phone in. I'm actually using my hotspot on here for the internet. Let me go
Yeah, yeah,
plug it
you're
in
good.
before it dies,
You're
but
good. Go ahead.
I'll continue to talk, though, because, we interviewed Stephen Williford, and his story is absolutely insane. And I respect the guy heavily because imagine having that kind of discipline where he had 8 rounds with him and he fired 6 total, and all
Yeah,
6 shots made impact on the designated target.
yeah,
Like, that is impressive as hell. And to think that he maintained that level of cool is, I mean, I I can't even imagine. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
incredible. And so that guy's just awesome.
yeah. I totally agree. That a lot of times we think of, an AR is like a go-to gun for something like that, right? And you start to think of these questions like, would I confront a shooter? And all kinds of things kind of go through your head, right? And the first thing we think of is like take aim and just dump a magazine in that direction, but I mean, damn, like we always say being calm is a superpower, right? Like and it truly is because that and I mean, I'm sure and I know he believes this that a lot of God was involved with what happened
Mhm.
that day.
Yeah.
And but man, I mean, he's truly a hero and it's such an incredible story.
Yeah, and he did it all barefoot too.
Yeah, the barefoot defender. That it's
That's
I
right.
one question I forgot to ask him was how fucked up were your feet after that day, you know?
Right, yeah, I mean, because he did a lot of running around, and then, God bless Texas, he found that one guy that said, "If we need to go chase that car," he just shot up a church, and he's like, "Hop in, brother," you know what I mean? "Let's go."
Dude,
And,
I
it's like,
know.
no questions asked, like, "All right, you got the gun, so let's go."
Yeah, with 2 rounds left.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's, super balls right there. I mean,
That's
he's a hell of a guy,
for sure.
and he definitely saved lives, yeah, it's crazy. I feel like the time that I had him on the show, we dug a little bit deeper, and I've seen him on I saw him on Eric's show, and I saw him. I've heard the story a bunch, but I feel like we pulled a little bit more out of him and kind of heard a little bit more about the people that survived and like what they did after the shooting took place, like the survivors, just turning shit into tourniquets all over the place and, just running around saving lives. And the stories that were inside the church after, like post shooting, were just incredible, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, again, I can't imagine, and it just goes to show too what kind of preparedness you need because churches are obviously a target, I mean, anywhere at this point can be a target, and so just
Yeah,
keeping that level of preparedness is good, and that's not just firearm, but it's also medical, and having the
for
treatment
sure.
of that. If you don't know how to, because I mean, I put it this way, I've seen more gruesome wrecks and vehicle accidents than I have, seen victims of gunshot wounds, right?
Yeah,
And I can tell you right now that vehicle accidents can actually be a lot more gruesome than gunshot wounds.
yeah,
And you're talking, easily, legs gone, dismemberment, things like that.
yeah,
And you could save somebody's life by just keeping a tourniquet in your glove box
yeah,
and knowing how to effectively use one, and you'll see a lot of people all the time try to apply a tourniquet or something like that, or use a belt or whatever, something makeshift, which, in a pinch, if that's all you got, it's better than nothing. But at the same time, if you don't know how to properly apply this stuff, you might do more damage than good. And
yeah,
and it's good. It's good to know this type of shit. So yeah, it's
yeah.
it's good to be able to know how to make holes, but if you don't know how to patch holes, you're not as big of an asset as you could be.
Very true. Very true. And we I kind of say the same thing. Like if we're gonna carry a gun, we're going to carry medical, right? At least
Right.
keep like one of the, NAR kits in your
Mhm.
car or something. Like, make it that whatever, if you carry a bag, like one of those crossbody bags or some shit like that,
Yeah.
carry medical in there too. Even if you just have a tourniquet, some chest seals and gauze, like something, it could mean life or death. There was actually a guy, I can't remember exactly how this came up, but as we were having a conversation with another guest on the show about the likelihood that medical would become needed before your defensive tool, um, he'd shared a story that there was a guy behind a woman in a drive-through, and he kept medical in his car, and the woman had dropped her credit card when she went to pay, and she opened up the car door and put her leg out and leaned out to get it, but she couldn't reach it, so she leaned further, and her foot came off the brake, and the car's wheel was turned
Mm,
in, so the door literally
yeah.
just, and it, like,
Oh, that
nearly
sucks.
severed her leg off. But
Yeah.
the dude saved her life because he had a tourniquet and was able to just come out. He had it staged, right? It wasn't sitting in a taco pouch in the plastic, he had it staged. It was ready to go. Rip off the rubber band, and then boom, he
Yeah.
saved her life.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at that, by the way. I'm just laughing at Ting Ting's comment there.
Oh yeah, Ting Ting is incredible. I swear to God, I have the best viewers in the world. They're awesome.
So at the ER, I got to witness a car panel slice a male in half, and he died of COVID in mid 2020.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Oh man, that's good. But yeah, but in all seriousness, no, knowing your shit and how to use it is big in every way. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. So what are your parting thoughts after leaving a 3-year long plan or pandemic? What are your thoughts on, exiting COVID? Like what are your thoughts looking back on the last few years?
it was all bullshit. It
Yeah.
was COVID did something for the firearms industry that was really, really cool. I mean, everybody made a shit ton of money. I didn't see a lot of it, but but
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I I can tell you right now though that the firearms industry, what people saw was more people were working from home and or lost their jobs, and more people were at home, right? And what's up, Adam Bomb 347?
Yeah,
And
he's a good dude.
there were more people at home. There were more people losing their jobs. There were more people suffering. And what does suffering lead to? The dark side, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, it led to a lot more home invasions. It's not just a breaking and entering anymore when you got, lives at home or in the residence that you're breaking into. And so you had a lot more people that were working from home that perhaps weren't thinking before that, man, I might need a gun now because my whole
Yeah.
family's here. We can't, afford as much, but maybe I should go ahead and invest in a firearm. And so we saw a huge increase in sales of firearms, right?
Yeah.
I mean, across the board, not just at our company, but across the board. It was insane. So and a couple of other industries did really well also. I think it also made kind of life, in general for the working man a little bit more difficult, but also if you like working from home, maybe it was a little bit easier for you.
Yeah.
But like the entire mask policy and shit like that, dude, I don't wear no damn mask.
Yeah.
And all that type of shit. I mean, it all really sucked. And it was like my parting thoughts are we were sold a lie at the end of the day. It was,
Yeah.
I do believe that COVID was real. I do
Mhm.
believe that a lot of people got sick and died, yes, but I also believe it was hugely and widely politicized, and it was also a big cash grab. And now you look at big pharma, who's bigger than ever,
Yep.
and so it's I that's my parting thoughts on that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your candor there. Have you seen any of the patents that were taken out years and years and years and even decades prior to COVID ever hitting? Like
No.
so Richard Rothschild, part of the Rothschild family, um, took out patents. I think so. One was 2015, and this was specifically for the COVID-19, the SARS-2 COVID-19 novel. I mean, specifically by name, uh, the SARS-2 COVID-19 testing, tracking, and tracing. A patent was taken out for the the testing, right?
Yeah.
And so the Rothschild family was paid for every single Q-tip ever stuck any nose in the world over the last few years. And then the tracking and tracing apps that were connected with the CDC and WHO and all that shit, they made money off of all that, which there's a whole lot of other stuff with that. People thinking that, the whole 6 feet thing was to, pinpoint people within a 6 foot radius and all that. I don't know, what may or may not be true about that. But the
Yeah.
reality is that some of the most powerful families in the world were planning this and taking out patents regarding COVID 10 years plus before it even came out. And then if you go and you continue backtracking, and this is all public, right? You guys can literally go to the search engine of your choice and look this shit up right now. Well, after the show, of course. You can see that the first patent that was taken out was in the year 2000. Okay. So 20 years prior to, the whole COVID-19 outbreak
Well,
or
mhm.
whatever, and it was for the novel SARS-2 novel COVID-19 whatever vaccine trials. And guess who took out the patent?
uh, Pfizer,
The CDC.
the CDC in general. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's mind blowing. And then they have said for so long, like I have no idea how we're going to get this this vax out because it takes 20 years to create a vax. Like yeah, like Project Warp Speed was them warping the speed of something they spent 20 years fucking making. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And if I keep talking, I probably am going to get another visit from the YouTube fairies. So maybe I should be cautious
Right.
about
Well,
that.
it's like what somebody said too. It's like the insurance, taking out the insurance before the Twin Towers.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's some. I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think that's just like, I mean, you're talking about factual information ultimately. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And so it's like, yeah, there was, I can't remember the guy's name, but there was insurance that was taken out, on the Twin Towers before it happened.
yeah,
And just as you're saying too, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that was put into play way before COVID was even a thing.
yeah.
Well, it's always been a thing, but before COVID-19, SARS-2, all that shit. So
Yeah, yeah, before it
yeah,
was, deposited, amongst the human population. JFC Golf,
mhm.
what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. JC9, if I didn't see any of you guys, man, I appreciate all you guys being here, man. Seriously, you guys are John Doe, what's up, brother? G23, all you guys are my go-to. Fluffy Bunny, what's up, man? Good to see you. So what about, knives? Are you a knife guy?
Yeah, man. I've always liked Columbia River knife and tool, CRKT, cricket, as some people like to call them.
Yeah,
Just because my dad was always a fan of theirs, and I've always just worn their knives, and they've always done really, really well for me.
mhm,
But I know they're also too kind of like a bigger name and stuff like that. There's a lot of smaller guys that make probably that definitely make higher quality knives and stuff like that. But CRKT has always just been kind of like good to me in that sense. I've never
yeah,
been given any of their products or anything like that. I've always paid for them. Just throwing that out there, not sponsored by.
yeah,
So it's like yeah, shit's always worked. So I'm not like a huge knife guy in that regard. But Scallywag Tactical, I don't know if you've ever heard of them or not. They got like some of those dope ass knives. Uh,
I'm not familiar.
yeah, they're pretty cool. They make some pretty cool stuff, man. Check them out. I saw that they had like a Blim sale, so I picked up a couple of their things a while back, and they got some pretty
Okay.
cool knives too. Check them out. But
Scallywag Tactical?
yeah, yeah, they were pretty cool.
Nice. There's a so I'm a big fan of the having the wave feature on a pocket knife, which is kind of like the Emersons. When you pull them out of the pocket, it deploys if you kind of catch it on the back of your pocket.
Yeah, CRKT has that. Mhm.
Okay, yeah. And some of the cold steels and it's not
Yeah,
on every knife, right? But sometimes I would get knives and then be like, damn, I wish that I had the wave feature on this, right? So you saying that mentioning the other company kind of made me remember this is a cold steel frenzy,
oh,
and
nice.
it's a cool ass knife, right? There's not a lot of them around. They kind of stopped me. You can just tell when Cold Steel is going to stop making knives, right? But this company called Snaggletooth MF, And guys, the MF stands for exactly what you think it stands for. uh,
Perfect.
they uh, they have these little pieces of metal that you can add to the thumb screw that you can
Hmm.
actually use it as a wave feature. So as you pull it out of your pocket, and this is
Yeah,
the
opens right
Warncliffe
up.
style, yeah, it opens up, and it's man, this is my pretty knife. It's not my like super duper utilitarian tool that I use on everything, but I love that feature. So shout out to Snaggletooth because they do cool shit like this. I actually got my
Yeah,
first Spyderco
nice.
recently.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Spyderco was another one my dad always really really liked too. Yeah.
So the 1911 that came from your father, he
Mhm.
when he passed away years back. I'm sorry to hear that, by the way.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
It's tough, man. He passed that down to you.
He did, yeah. So I've got the first shotgun, first rifle, first pistol I ever shot, and that includes that Colt Series 70 1911, Remington 870 Wingmaster, and a Underwood M1 carbine from 1944, I want to say. So it's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
incredible, dude. You're also a big lever gun guy, right?
I do, yeah, that's really what I grew up with. Shortly after I fired that M1 carbine, I had a Henry 22 pump and lever gun that I stayed plinking with in the backyard, and a
Yeah.
little Puma 1873. I still have that too. 22 revolver. I mean, I stayed with those guns, man, and I absolutely love a lever gun, and I can run a lever gun pretty good, and I've worked pretty closely with Henry now, and I've got their 4570 all weather Picatinny. I've got their new brass side gate 357 and 3030, and
Nice.
yeah, I'm looking to hopefully take down a deer with that 3030 this year, so we'll see.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, dude.
Mm,
I
yeah.
was watching one of your live streams and I so my dad's first gun, because we didn't grow up in like a big like, gun household, but he always had
Mhm.
a gun. It was a weird thing. We can talk about that another time, but I kind of lived like in Virginia, but close to Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. was, I mean, literally, there were handguns were illegal in D.C. At that time. And it was like guns are for cops and robbers only, right?
Right.
But he always had a lever gun. It was a Marlin 3030. Still got it to this day. He's
Mhm.
expanded, thank
Nice.
God. But I remember watching. I've always loved lever guns because of that. I remember watching one of your streams recently, and somebody mentioned a lever gun. And you were like, "Oh yeah, I love lever guns. I got my 22 there. I got my lever gun, my 3030 there." And then I got this lever gun, and then I got that. I was like, "Holy shit, dude! This dude's got like six fucking lever guns behind him. Like, goddamn."
Yeah, dude, I love them, man. I want to run more and more of them and show them on the channel more too. And we just also want to make sure we're producing content that a lot of people want to see. You know what I mean? And so we keep teasing, like, "Hey, do you guys want to see more lever gun content?" And there's typically an overwhelmingly amount of yeses in the comments and stuff like that. So I just stay tuned because I mean
Yeah.
they'll be coming. And I've got both of those. Also, the Tanner, I see you, man. So I know Dark and I both appreciate the super chat and everything. That's awesome that you're here. And
Hell yeah.
the 9mm Homesteader is super freaking cool. Shooting it suppressed is a shit ton of fun, and it can take Glock mags, 320 mags, or Henry's own proprietary mag. But they have a little, just you can switch out whatever you want to use. It's really cool. And
Yeah, like a little insert.
yeah, so I've got a Glock drum mag that I'll probably run it,
Hell
with it
yeah,
or
man.
whatever. And I do have the Long Ranger Express, the 223. I'm figuring out what optic I want to throw on it, but another great suppressor host also, which is really, really cool. You wouldn't think, but Henry's really bringing out some cool damn guns. But it's a magazine fed 5.56 threaded barrel, 5.56 223 threaded
Mhm.
barrel lever gun that's just so damn fun to shoot. I shot it for the first time at the Gundies this past year, along with the Homesteader and all that. And man, they are a lot of fun. So definitely would
That's
recommend. And
awesome.
it's that 223 one is accurate too. I mean, I was shooting it out to a couple hundred yards out there, I think, and it was just on point, man. And again, suppressed is so much damn fun. So
Dang, that's incredible.
mhm.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of those. And Tanner, thank you. I appreciate you. And Daddy Daughter podcast as well. I imagine you have a podcast, which you may even do with your daughter. That's pretty dope. So shout out to you and thank you. You guys have been tearing it up tonight with super chats, man. This is awesome. Thank you. Um, I did. Have you seen that POF? The, tactical threaded 9 millimeter, you seen that?
Yeah, man. The POF. I mean, we have it in the video room. We were thinking about doing a video on it, and I laugh at it every time I look at it.
It's
Um,
kinda goofy look oh, but really quick on
yeah,
that, the 223 you're talking about, if they
yeah.
could make that in 300 blackout, holy shit,
Mhm.
that shit would be dead silent, man.
I've told Henry there's a couple things I'd like to see. A 22 side gate, I think would be really cool.
Hell yeah.
I talked to them about that, and I'm having a hard time remembering if I'm allowed to say what I'm about to say.
You don't have to say
I just,
it.
I don't think. All right, let me just say they've tested it, and some of the issues that they found was that the actual 22 cartridge, the rounds sounded like to me like the rounds were becoming separated from the actual shells, like it was just too difficult, like, you know what I mean? Like it was
I
too
could see
much
that.
trauma on the round itself. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
know 22 for me, I can just with my bare hands separate,
Pop.
the bullet
Yeah.
from the casing. I can't really do that with a 5.56 or other full power, rifle rounds, you know what I mean, or intermediate, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so that was one thing. And, something I think would be cool, and I can talk to Henry about this, is, the mare's leg, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine that in 300 blackout suppress, something like that. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
That would be cool as shit. A side gate mare's leg. They've got it in 410, 45 Colt, all these other different calibers. A 300 blackout mare's leg would be cool as shit in
threaded
my mind.
barrel that
Yeah.
accepted stocks that were, the same pattern
Mhm.
as the,
Right.
SBR it or, lawfully form one it if you choose to, that
Right.
kinda thing.
Right. Yeah.
But that would be sick.
Yeah, because I mean, if you guys have ever ran a Bolt 300 blackout, especially, with subs through it, oh my god, is it quiet. It is like it's Hollywood quiet. It is
Yep.
what Hollywood wants you to think it is, you know what I mean?
Yes, yes. Yeah, when I
And
when
it's
I
so
shoot my
cool.
5.56 with a can on it, obviously you and everyone here knows you get that sonic crack, that
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I haven't shot 8.6 blackout, or suppressed or supersonic for that matter. I don't even know if there are supersonic options for 8.6. I just don't know enough about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the 300 blackout subsonic, like 220 grain, subsonic, something like that, with a can in a bolt gun or a single shot or whatever, some type of closed action platform is the closest thing you can get to subsonic 22s with a can on it. I mean, that shit is just dead quiet.
Yeah. It's so much freaking fun, man. But yeah, I'm
Mm.
trying to remember what the hell the name of that POF res is it the it's not the Resolute. No, that's a completely
No,
different that's the MMG. What the hell is that POF? Let
it's
me do
like
it really
the
quick.
something like the Patriot or something like that. It's something weird. And
Tombstone.
Tombstone, and it
Tombstone,
takes like
that's what it
some
is.
proprietary magazine. I was like, well, what were y'all thinking?
Yeah, so, I mean, the cool factors there, right? It's a magazine-fed 9 millimeter threaded barrel tactical lever gun. It's like, alright,
Yeah,
there's some cool factor there, but it
yeah,
does take a proprietary mag, and I don't think it's anything anybody asked for, and the action on it isn't like it's kinda gritty. I mean, the one we have, I haven't shot it that much. I haven't oiled it up or anything like that, but it's not something I can, like, really run, like, as smooth as I can like a Marlin or a Henry, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And it's like, "Okay," but a 9 mil lever gun is cool as shit, you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
fun.
yeah, like some 147, 158s. That
Yeah,
thing is gonna be quiet. Do you have a 4570 lever gun?
I do, yeah, I've got the, 4570 all-weather Picatinny from Henry. Mhm.
Nice,
Yep, I
nice,
actually tested, a new Swamp Fox optic on it to see how well it holds 0 and everything, and it did really, really well
nice, man.
yeah. So that video will be coming out, hopefully within the next couple weeks or so, I think. And all about that new Swamp Fox Raider is what it is. That prism optic that's pretty solid.
Nice, man. Hell yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had a connection at Swamp Fox and met them early on, and I rocked their what was it, the Justice. That did
Yeah,
really well. I had one of their red dots fail on me, but I called them up and told them what happened, and they were like, you know what? That's happened like a dozen times out of
Oh, mm,
thousands and thousands, like, just some crazy thing where I was just shooting it on a 9 mil, right, properly
yeah,
mounted. It was good to go. Screws weren't turning, nothing at all, and I take a little, like I said, a little paint marker and dab the 12 o'clock mark on, each,
sure.
screw to see if they're backing out, and just randomly when I was shooting it, and this is no fault of Swamp Fox, right? Um, I just randomly, when I pulled one shot, the the reticle just went and just moved over to the right, and I was like, "What the fuck?" So, but to their credit, I called them and I told them what happened. They're like, "Man, we've only heard about this happening like 10 to 12 times ever, right? But something inside must have just kind of been loose or you got a lemon or something, and they took care of me
Yeah.
like that, So shout out to
That's
them."
that's really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I love companies too that stand behind their product and take care of the customer also. Vortex is really good with that, with their VIP warranty or whatever. Because I've had to use that before in the past, and within a week, I had a brand new optic sent to me, you know what I mean? Within 2 weeks, I
Mhm.
think, actually. But, I
Nice.
mean, it was awesome, you know? And, so again, companies that stand behind their product like that, I will always advocate for and support for it. So even if, like, they're known as, like, making, like, mediocre stuff, if they stand
Mhm.
behind it, I'm pro them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I like that, and,
Not yeah, not saying that Vortex and Swampbox makes mediocre stuff, I'm just saying.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's cool that like Swamp Fox is like, yeah, our shit's likely not gonna break, but if it does, we got you, you know? Doesn't Vortex have something where like if you return at least a piece of the optic that they'll honor the warranty or something crazy like that?
S Dude, their VIP warranty is something nuts, man, because, one of their stories was somebody, like, lost a pair of binos or they ran over it with their ATV and they couldn't find it for the longest time. They found it and this
Yeah,
thing was in pieces, sent it back to them. They said, you know, "Yeah, we can rebuild that," and they at least attempted to, or they sent him a new one or something. Either way, he got taken care of. You know, so it's little stuff
that's
like that.
crazy.
That's really cool. There's also military stories too, utilizing Vortex rangefinder or binos, and something, like, took a round or whatever, Vortex replaced it, you know, stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, man, you can't go wrong with that. I currently don't have any Vortex optics or products rather, but it's good shit. It's funny, you and I actually do have pretty similar taste in firearms. The you mentioned the CZ Scorpion with the Franklin binary trigger. I got
Mhm.
that. I'm
And
also
it's
rocking a
fun,
ten
man.
three.
Fun.
Oh my god, I swear to God, like we clocked it. It was sub 3 seconds for a 30 round mag. I couldn't pull that with a 35 round mag, but man, that shit's quick.
They're fast, man. You're jumping all over the damn place, but it's fun.
Yeah, yeah. And so honestly, me, Flying Rich, and John Crump, we're all talking. I mean, like I said, we're all friends. So, we talk like little girls on three-way calls and shit like that. And we were like, "Are you guys see the AP5 video on Classic? And did you see this and that?" We're like, "Yeah." Like, all right, I'll buy an AP5 if you two buy an AP5. So we all bought AP5s. The interesting thing though, we both Crump and I both got binary triggers from Franklin. Shout out to them and their yeah, they're awesome. Um I have the K version, right? And
Yeah,
I bought 1,000 rounds from Classic. I bought 1,000 rounds of 124 grain from
like
Classic. And I took it to the range because I was like, all right, I need more 124 grain, right? Because I saw the issues. When you were running the 124s, it was running, but when you
mhm.
ran the 115s, it was just like, what? I mean,
Oh, yeah, cool.
or no, did I say that the other way around for you?
I think you said it the other way around, but I picked up where you're going with it. Yeah, the
Yeah,
115, it would run, but the heavier load, the binary on, you know, an AP5 or whatever it might be, I mean, just with the binary trigger in general, loves those heavier rounds, man, and it just flawless, you know?
yeah, so when I saw you run the 124s and it was just like burr, like going nuts, I was like, all right, I need to stack up. So I got another 1,000 rounds through Classic, and it was actually an excellent price, by the way. Uh, and
Awesome,
so just shout out
awesome.
to them. It was like 239 or something like that for 1,000 rounds of 124 NATO brass. Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
I took it to the range and I was going shooting with Black Rambo, the tactical turkeys. Like it was a blast. I got to shoot Black Rainbow's Atlas. It was incredible. And I run the 124s through it, and it was just hiccuping and hiccuping, and I was just having issues. But then I loaded up a few mags with 115s, and it was just like, "Wah!" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck?" Oh, so I don't
Yeah.
know if maybe the K version is slightly different because of the shorter barrel or what?
They Yeah, it is. So it is slightly different. There's actually a little it's a whole smaller unit in general.
Mhm,
And also there's something special about the K2 when it comes to the actual bolt carrier system inside of it. There's a way to actually I'll have to do I'll have to take a look at it again and try to remind myself what it was. It's been a while since I've done any um K stuff in a while, but you can
yeah,
actually change, how much gas is coming into the system by utilizing something on the actual bulk carrier group. It's kind of interesting. So it's actually the K is actually more, I guess you'd say, more fitted to be a suppressor host than the standard one is, you know? It's
mhm.
pretty interesting. There's a part you have to get or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is off the top of my mind.
Yeah, it's
But,
something like
locking
switching out
cam,
like a
there it
co
is. It's the locking. It's like what Barton's talking about there, that reminded me. Locking
yeah.
cam is slightly different degree, and there's something you can change even further about it to actually make it even a better suppressor host, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing someone say something about, changing out to, like, a copper ejector, something I don't remember, but I remember
The
it was
extractor yeah, the extractor on the MP5 was its biggest reliability downfall, I guess you could say. I don't wanna say
mm,
downfall, but that was the most unreliable part of the MP5. It had, like, a copper extractor thing that would sometimes shear and break and stuff like that. It was actually a piece that kinda keeps the extractor in, and if you ever look at the bolt carrier or the bolt of an MP5, you can see it clear as day.
mhm,
There's nothing wrong with it, but it just was a reliability flaw, and, there are replacement parts out there that you can do that and run with it. The AP5 by Century Arms, that was a problem that they noted from the MP5, and they actually corrected it before they mass produced them.
mm,
And they claim that the AP5 is actually more reliable than the MP5 because of this one fix. Other than that, they're identical firearms pretty much.
yeah,
And and I know Adam with Canic and Century and all of them very, very well. And dude, we've run the ever living shit out of one of the full auto AP5Ks, or which is considered actually the AP5P because that's the pistol. And then there's the AP5M, which is the same gun without the threaded barrel, but so on and so forth. But anyway,
yeah.
but yeah, I
I
mean, we
I
have
did
run
get
the
the
crap
neutered
out of them.
one. I got the neutered one. It's just a little short, chop, no
Mhm.
threaded barrel, which kills me because I got a 9 mil can that's full auto rated. It
Yeah.
kinda kills me, but apparently that was, originally designed by HK for the
Mhm.
briefcase,
That's right.
and
Yeah.
yeah, which is dope as hell. I'll likely
Yeah.
never get one of those briefcases, but, I just, for, like, at the time, like, 8 something, man, when I was growing up and into guns, you couldn't have an MP5 clone, especially a Turkish made on
Mhm.
HK tooling, right?
Right.
Like, this is good shit, right? For 8 something, man, you were dropping 2 grand on an HK clone like that.
Oh, easily, man, and when Century first dropped the AP5, I mean, it was expensive, dude, it was way too expensive,
Yeah.
and then they saw what was happening, and they're like, "Dude, what have we done?" And they fixed it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I feel kinda bad for the guys that bought one of the first AP5s because they were just expensive across the board, and look, we're a business at the end of the day, we're for profit, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
So
yeah,
at the end of the day, and I saw a comment earlier too that talked about, like, our prices or whatever, we strive to be as competitive as possible because, well, hey, this is capitalism. You guys don't have to give us your business, right? If
yeah,
you find a price better, but you like our YouTube videos, that's fine. And you find a price better and you want to buy it somewhere else, that's totally cool. Hey, this is America, and thank God for capitalism, right? But at the end of the day, we still want to make money. We still want to definitely be that place where people go to purchase whatever it is they might need to, exercise their Second Amendment rights. So we got to be competitive in the market. Now, with that being said, if a manufacturer or importer or whatever, puts out a ridiculous product, or I shouldn't say ridiculous product, puts out a great product with a ridiculous price, we have to market it competitive in the market, right? Or in the industry.
yeah.
So we'll say, hey, let's put our price on it and let's try to make it as competitive as possible. And so if we're getting it for $2,500, well, let's put it up for three and see what happens. I don't know. Just don't quote me on those prices, guys. All right. I don't know what we got them for at that point or anything like that, but I'm just, rounding. And
Yeah,
so let's say, we got them in for 2,500. Well, let's try to make $500 profit per each unit and let's just see what happens. And if it sells, great. If it doesn't, well, we need to back it down a little bit more. You know what I mean? And then I think Century ultimately saw like, man, these things aren't selling, and a lot of businesses that thought this was going to go really, really well that bought these from us can't move them now, and they have to run these different specials even at a loss sometimes.
Mm,
And so, if businesses are selling a product at a loss, that's not going to translate well for the manufacturer. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, for
And
sure.
thankfully, the people spoke, and everybody said, "This is ridiculous. Why would I buy an AP5? I'll just wait a couple months and buy an actual MP5, an SP5." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That has the HK logo on it. And Century saw that, and they were like, "Yeah, let's fix that. How about it?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, I appreciate about them, and I've a lot of people can have a bad taste in their mouth about Century from shit that other people have said in the past
Mhm,
about, older imports or things like that. So all I'm saying is guys, give Century a chance, okay? Because I got shit from, 15 years ago from Century that is like primo, and I got shit from this year from Century that's primo. Sometimes it's, you want to get your hands on it, take a look at it, feel it, right? If it's an
mhm,
AK, you want to see how the dust cover fits, how the mags fit, if the front sight's canted or whatever. But these MP5s, they were imported by Century. It's different. So don't allow a name to cast any type of negative judgment from the past when 10-year-olds were dribbling out magwells, to
right.
accept double stack magazines. Honestly, they're, they've, in my opinion, totally redeemed whatever negative reputation from like 20, 30 years ago or whatever it was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right, and, like, I'm not gonna, say that, Century has created, like, primo stuff, like, I mean, like, all of it's been excellent. No, I mean, no manufacturer has 100% reliability and fantastic products, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Century got a bad reputation, especially early on, like, "Hey, all their American-made stuff, don't buy that." If it's a Century import, yeah, okay, that's cool, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I think personally that they've learned from their mistakes, right? VZ58 runs great, so that's awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And, but I think Century was a manufacturer that actually, like, hey, they tried to bring in stuff at a budget. They wanted to do their own things, again, make budget, affordable stuff. And they found too, like, hey, maybe we should actually, let's try to do this a little bit better, do that a little bit better. And they've learned over time, I mean, we did the Thunder Ranch urban what is it, the urban rifle course with Clint Smith out there, and that was all Century
Nice.
AKs that we were running out there. And we put through each gun, I think about 3,000 rounds, and I think that's right. My
Oh,
number
yeah.
might be a little off, right? But it was thousands of rounds. I can tell you that much. Through the 2 days that we were shooting, I mean, we shot a shit ton, and we bore the hell out of these guns. And I mean, and these were the Thunder Ranch Viscas or whatever they are, and I mean, we like I said, wore the shit out of them, and they were in the
Yeah.
dirt, in the mud, everything else. I mean, we're actually in the rocks, and these things got beat the hell up. And at the end of it all, they all worked. We didn't. The one gun that failed wasn't a Vishka, and it was a minor issue. But I don't remember what the manufacturer was, but it was one guy that attended the course there, and he didn't have a Century, didn't have a Vishka, and that was the only one that messed up. But granted, that was his personal AK that it was probably a maintenance issue.
Mhm.
But we made sure at the end of the day that we didn't clean them or anything like that. We did a basic wipe down, and we made sure that all the parts were greased right. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, the AK is a grease gun. It's not a lube or a spray oil, an oil gun, a CLP like an AR is. It needs grease. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, the class that course was incredible, and Clint Smith is a legend, and it was awesome and an honor to be able to learn from him.
Hell yeah.
And so,
I
but
I
yeah,
love
mm,
I love his outlook on, what did he say? Pistols put holes in people, rifles put
yeah,
holes through people, and shotguns will forcibly remove a chunk of shit from your opponent to where someone will have to come in and
and throw
clean
it
it
on the
up with a
ground. Yeah,
shovel. Like, what? Holy shit. It's so true. It's so true. Now, I know I've already taken more than 2 hours of your life, so we can kinda wind it up here, but, I have just a couple final questions.
yeah,
So
man. No, take your time. It's all good. I got nowhere else to be, dog.
okay, hell yeah, I appreciate that. So somebody, actually, my last guest on Thursday, the guy, he has a page. It's called Front Toward ATF, which is
Mhm, yeah.
awesome, right? The guy's awesome. Um, he had mentioned something like, if I had a coupon for one free gun, no holds barred, like, and he brought up an interesting thing. So I guess my question to you is, if someone gave you a coupon, right? One free gun, no holds barred, money doesn't matter, ammo, caliber, like nothing, anything you want. What would your one unicorn gun be?
Oh man,
It's a tough one.
that's yeah, that is really a tough one because my mind goes to something like really obscure. There's that there's only like a couple of those made. It's like a Walther ZK something bolt gun. I cannot remember what the hell it's called. Geez, I can't remember now. But obviously that wouldn't be the one if I can't remember the name, right?
Are you thinking of
So
that like that, what was it, like the WA-2000, that crazy long range gun? WAF 2000 or some shit like that?
yeah, I think that's it. I think that sounds right. I think if WA, I'm just gonna do a quick search and see if that's the one that I would go
Yeah.
for. I always type in WA 200 and a bulldozer comes up, and I'm like, "Killdozer for the win."
Right.
Um, uh, but yeah,
Careful
that's it though.
Googling that.
Yeah, that is it though. The Walther WA 2000. It is just something that just is so unique and something I've never seen in person that I'd be like, "Hmm," and of course, Forgotten Weapons does a video on it. Um, uh,
Of course.
yeah, but
He
it's
got,
like
like,
that.
the one. Fucking
Yeah,
Ian, man.
right. But if I'm being completely honest though, it's gonna be full auto, whatever it is. It's gonna be a freaking machine gun, man.
Of course.
It's gonna be something that, I definitely, would have a hard time legally owning. Um,
Yeah.
and my mind also goes to an M60. I love the way an M60 shoots. I've been able to shoot one before, and there's something I love about a belt fed 7.62 that is just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so I kinda go all over the place with it, and, it
They're known
wouldn't
to have
surprise
some
yeah.
some challenges though with M60s. Oh, thank you, Daddy Daughter Podcast. Man, you're very, very giving. I'm grateful for you. Appreciate that, man. And good night, Daddy Daughter Podcast. Thank you for stopping by. So the M60s, what was it? They may have changed or upgraded it, but I heard that M60s have had a very little time behind one. But I heard
Mhm.
they had some reliability issues. I don't know, maybe like the E4, or maybe some of the newer ones were upgraded. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was a firing pin issue. They used to break firing pins like damn quick, you know
I
what I
could
mean?
see that.
So that was one issue, but yeah, there was a company out there actually that made a upgraded M60 that actually has had seen some limited, special operations use that made the M60 perfect. And I
Really?
cannot remember who this company is now for the life of me. But if I just type in upgraded M60, hopefully I don't get some sort of video game, something or whatever. Of course I do, and I start seeing tanks too like that. But there was some company out there that took an M60 and made it incredible. I mean,
What
took
about
all the
like a
reliability
240
issues.
Bravo?
So the 240 Bravo is great. I think that's one of the best machine guns ever made. And there's something about the 240 that just is phenomenal. I've got some experience behind one, and I absolutely love, 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 love the M60. I'm sorry, the 240 Bravo. It's got such a good rhythm to it, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's a super reliable gun too, and it's just awesome. And, yes, I see that we are reading your chat, Corn Pops. I see you, sorry. Uh, but yeah, so US Ordnance, was it US Ordnance, M60 that I'm talking about? US Ordnance M60.
Corn Pop, it's hard
Mm,
to you know keep track. And again, we I love all y'all. We love all y'all. Please stay here, continue chatting. Yet it is challenging to go back and forth. So I try to see everything that I can. I also saw earlier that the end is near. Beware came in here. Good to see you. I know I meant to respond to your email, brother. I'm sorry. It's just been swamped, man. I apologize.
uh,
Um,
By the way, a little story on U.S. ordnance. So I was for my MOS in the Marine Corps. I was at Quantico. Was this a year and a half, 2 years ago now? At an awards
Mhm.
ceremony there for the ammunition. The ammunition awards is what it's called, and it's something specific to my MOS as an ammunition technician. And I was at the award ceremony there, and U.S. Ordnance is one of the sponsors. Makes sense. And
Of course.
yep. Let's see. I mean, who else was there? Lockheed was there, in Raytheon, all the warmongers. You know what I mean? And
Of course. Yeah.
but I got to sit and talk with U.S. Ordnance for a bit, and dude, some of the numbers that they gave me about how much they produce as far as like 155 millimeter howitzer rounds, grenades, stuff like that, was absolutely nuts, man. I mean,
What?
incredible shit. And how much of it was actually going to Ukraine blew my fucking mind, and it pissed me off.
Really? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
so, I mean, I don't I know I've got, like, a, secret clearance right now and all that type of stuff, and I don't think I'm giving away anything by saying this. I don't wanna be that next guy that's, seen on TV is, like, giving away secrets to whatever,
Don't feel bad.
but
No one's gonna see this.
yeah. Yeah, but, there's actually a system that we use, to pretty much schedule out ammunition for different units to use for training and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so there's a system that we use for that, and then in that, it actually told us, there's a banner that says, "Due to, whatever for Ukraine, support of Ukraine, these DODICs," which is the Department of Defense identification for ammunition, are not available, and so many are not available because, I mean, for the
Damn.
Marine Corps, because of what we were sending to Ukraine and stuff like that, and I'm like, "Huh,
God, that's just so
wow.
crazy. Like,
Can't even use that for training because, well, we don't have it." That's funny.
isn't it just nuts, excuse me, that, like, we're sitting here in a situation where we're like, we're not gonna provide lethal aid, but you're sending javelins and high explosives and
Yeah,
40 minute, like,
and
if I were Russia, I'd be like, "Fuck you. Are you serious? That is lethal aid, motherfucker." Like, it
yeah,
blows my mind.
right, M777 howitzers are definitely lethal aid, because a 155 millimeter shell or round is going to do a lot more devastating damage than any 5.56 will.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's, pretty funny, but yeah. But to get to flying rich, firearms here, my impression of the Keltec P50, it's a cool gun. The P50 is pretty neat, chambered in 5.7, taking the, or wait a minute, I'm getting that confused
No,
with
you're right.
something else on it.
You're right.
Okay, alright. Yep, so yeah, so that gun was just overall super cool to shoot. I'm pulling it up really quick because I wanna make sure too that
Takes
I
the
do have the right
P90
thing in mind.
mags.
Yeah, it takes the P90 mags, opens up and breaks. It's really neat. I know they recently just came out with like a rifle variation of it, I think. I'm
Yeah,
actually not too sure. I think they did, or at least they announced that they're doing something with it. Um, but the P50 was a lot of fun to shoot. That's something that Keltec does really, really well. They make some weird shit and it's fun. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So
And
yeah,
occasionally,
yeah.
you may see a Ukrainian in full kit rocking a foldable fucking pistol caliber carbine. Who knows? You may see a P50 over there one day.
Right, right, yeah, but,
Yeah,
Corn Pops is talking about he doesn't like the way you have to open it up to put the mag in, I get that, but I think their entire design to be able to maintain and sell that as a pistol, and with that length of a magazine, you have to try to figure out how to make that work, and I think that was pretty
yeah,
much the best way of doing it. Thankfully, you've got 50 rounds in that magazine, P50,
yeah.
so, hopefully you don't have to open it up and switch it out too much.
Yeah, you won't have to do, too many mag changes, hopefully not. Flying Rich, I appreciate the, super chat. Here's one thing that I did think of, though, with when you look at the P50, I literally almost pulled the trigger on one the other day because, it just was crazy inexpensive, but, like, apparently, when you open it up, it's almost like those, like, action things, right?
Yeah,
Apparently,
right.
when you open it up, there's no spring tension, like, when you open the dust cover on a crank, it's like, "Er," it
Mhm.
stays up, right? When you
Yeah, that's
open,
true, yeah.
like, anything, like, it's got some little bit of spring to some tabs or something pushing against it. I wish Caltech, I don't know, maybe they had to stop and had a break to, cut up some more bags of blow or something, like, whatever they did during that part where they were like they should have had 2 little tabs just with just enough spring tension,
Yeah.
to where gravity won't make that thing slam on your fingers while you're putting a P90 mag in it. I don't know, just my, my thoughts. Mentos, brother, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, that's a solid point too, and hopefully they listen to that feedback, and maybe for a Gen 2 or something, that would be an upgraded part. There was also a comment from somebody else earlier, that I wanted to get to because we were talking about the lever guns, and somebody mentioned about Bond Arms releasing or coming soon, a new
Oh, yeah, I
lever gun
saw that.
deal.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and that is super freaking interesting to me because it looks like it's a if it's AR magazine fed 5.56 or 300 blackout, or they got a couple other 9 mil, 450
Mhm.
Bushmaster, 12.7 by 42. It says in testing, stuff like that.
What?
Yeah, it looks like it takes like the Magpul shotgun stock, lever gun, threaded barrel, tactical out, all that type of stuff. This thing looks wild, and is
Dang.
something I would definitely be interested in trying out. Um, again, it's something I don't know how many people are really asking for this, but it's like when Henry did that with the Long Ranger, I thought it was pretty cool. A 5.56 magazine fed lever gun with a threaded barrel. I'm like, dude, that's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, it's
And
real.
that's so I don't know, maybe POF was right with what they did with the tombstone. I don't know. So maybe the guys in the chat over here, they can let us know all about that.
Yeah, it could be. I love lever guns, but I am sad to say right now I don't currently own any. I am way far removed from selling firearms. I don't sell any guns that I buy anymore, because I think one day I'll have to use them as
Mhm.
bartering and or defense for my life. That's why I built fucking 30 Glocks. But I don't get it. I love building Glocks. What can I say? But
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, firearms are definitely firearms, food, and maybe even perhaps precious metals. I personally like the precious metals things. I'm that kind of
yeah,
guy, your gold and silver and whatever. That everybody looks at that as kind of like God's currency because for thousands of years you've been able to use, gold and silver as, legitimate currency. And then the fiat currency that we currently have that isn't backed by gold anymore. It's not backed by anything that's going to be, I mean,
yeah.
honestly, the $20 bill that you use to pay for your McDonald's, I mean, it's just a piece of paper at this point.
Can we
But
also
we're still
say I'm sorry, I have to
no,
stop
you're
you really
good.
quickly. Can we also just say how fucking sad it is that you just had to say $20 bill for McDonald's? Like, we used to be able to go to McDonald's with a dollar or a $5 bill. Jesus Christ.
I'm
Uh,
assuming we're feeding a family,
yeah, right. When
right?
really
So
that's
so
what the Big Mac costs, right?
oh, yeah, there you go. Thanks for the inflation, Joe.
Yeah,
But but anyway, but yeah, so when it comes to, bartering, yeah, and skills, I think is another thing that you could trade for. Hey, let me
yeah,
build this for you or something like that. In exchange for, maybe you help me grow a garden if I show you how to build a house. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Something, I think that's something too that comes a long way. So don't sleep on trade, boys and girls.
Absolutely. Yep, 100%. Yeah, and I don't like, I've had a little bit of a trouble with the precious metals. I got a bunch of silver, just kind of like, you know, because it's like cool, like, gun guy silver. It's like, I got a 308 bullet made out of silver and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
a bunch of don't tread on me coins and shit like that. But like,
Mhm.
um, I don't know. I mean, silver, it can actually filter water. I'll say that.
Yes, silver's health, properties are very impressive, and
Yeah.
how it's been used in the medical industry and how it actually saves lives, and silver
Yeah.
is found everywhere. In the phone that you're using and the computers that we're using, silver is everywhere because it's a great conductor.
Yeah. 100%. Man, you know your shit, dude. I like that.
I try to study a bunch of different things, like, knowing just one thing is cool and all that, but there's a bunch of things that I try to learn. I have yet to learn how to actually be interesting, but I'm working on it, alright?
You're doing just fine, man. My people here love you. We've actually been able to capture and keep almost 70 people in here the entire time. So this is
Oh, that's cool,
impressive.
man.
So
That's great. Well, I'm glad people are sticking around listening to all this nonsense.
hell yeah, it's great banter, great banter. Now, so okay, so did you land on a light machine gun that you wanted that's your unicorn gun?
Oh, shit.
I'm giving you a
Yeah,
coupon.
yeah.
Now, it could
Somebody,
also be a 40 millimeter launcher too. Just throwing that out there.
it could be, the Mark 19 is a very unreliable thing, though. But, yeah, but, there is that. Like I said, mm, You know, a part of me wants to go like really classic. I think about like Quigley Down Under, Sharps 45, 70. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think about something like that with his little aiming piece. I think that's really cool.
that'd be bad.
Um, that would be badass. But just to change it up, I think my unicorn would probably be a Sturmgewehr, the
Mm,
STG 44, because that was the first assault rifle, right? That was the
yeah,
first. I mean, that's what the name means, Sturmgewehr, assault rifle.
yep,
And just so people know too, because people hate it when I actually use the term assault rifle, and I'm like, that's legit. Assault
yeah,
weapon is not legit. Garrett, see you.
yeah,
Um, an assault rifle is a magazine-fed, intermediate cartridge chambered firearm capable of select fire, right?
yeah,
So it's a real thing. So yeah, I love assault rifles. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so so I think honestly, just because that's the unicorn gun, that's the one that kicked off my infatuation with the types of firearms that I handle the most today now.
Hmm.
Probably the STG 44 and 8 millimeter Kurtz would be, up there for me, I think. And it's also a
Oh yeah,
classic gun, you know what I mean? It just
oh
has
yeah.
that level of badass to it.
Dude, it's a remarkable firearm, and shout out to Richard Hoffman who passed away not too long ago. He had an original STG 44 full auto. He was an SOT, and he was like the Uzi manufacturer. And Hoff,
Well,
brother, we miss you and love you. He's awesome. Unfortunately, he was taken from us way too early due to colon cancer. But man, he was just a beast, man. He was an incredible person.
yeah, I hate
Um,
to hear that.
yeah, man, it sucks. He did have an original STG 44, and he actually brought it to IV 88 last October, and was running it there. Now, I don't think I've ever answered the free gun coupon question, and I
Mm,
honestly, after like because it is so difficult to actually select one gun, like because if I'm gonna want to get, like you said, I'm gonna want to get something that would be typically difficult for me to get, right? Like a
yeah.
machine gun, right? And I would want something that's either a machine gun or a destructive device. And as long as it came with a bunch of like a pallet of HEDP rounds, I think I would have to go with a 40 millimeter. And have you seen those VLTOR, whatever?
Oh, yeah, the big ass 40 millimeter revolver.
So they got the big ass one with the cylinder, the
Mhm,
what was it? The ML multi whatever it was, MGL, and then the
mhm.
SSGL. Dude, even though it's a tiny little launcher, the SSGL is the single shot
Yeah,
grenade launcher,
yeah,
and it's got like a hydraulic buffer system in it. It's got
yeah,
the red dot that you can shift up to an 800-meter
yeah.
shot. Dude, that thing is so badass. Like I may have to go with one of those now, single shot or cylinder. I don't know, but man, if I had some help with the ammo, that may be the one.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's the, MSGL, multi-shot grenade launcher that's just,
That's right.
yeah, freaking cool, dude. They are really neat. I would like them too, just to have, like, for smoke grenades and just do do do, and, it's just you can cloud,
Oh,
a complete area just for the fun factor, you know what I mean?
oh, for real. Yeah, that thing
Mhm.
would be a blast, man. I couldn't
Yep, yep.
imagine it. Did you see Extraction 2?
So that's actually my homework. I have to watch that tomorrow. I haven't watched it yet. I have to watch it tomorrow because we're filming the top 5 guns of Extraction 2, this
Oh,
week. So I have to watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
you must. It is so good. You saw the first one?
Oh, yeah, yeah. The first one I liked a lot. I thought it was really cool
Yeah.
that they're actually using, like, "Oh, dude, is that a BCM? Is that a Daniel Defense M4?" Like, yeah, I was like, "Ooh, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool." And, so my buddy Trey, who works over at Agency Arms, he actually, helped work on, if not design, the 2 pistols that are used, in Extraction 2 also. So I'm trying to
Dude,
yeah, trying to work on that. So if Trey's watching, hey, dude, and, invite me out. So let's do some Agency Arms collabs. But,
hell yeah.
but yeah, that stuff's pretty cool. Yeah.
Agency Arms, most expensive barrel I've purchased to date actually
Oh,
was,
nice. Yeah.
Agency Arms. That man, I was looking at some of their Glocks and I was like, "Holy shit, is that Agency? Is that Zev? I can't tell," you know?
Yeah.
But they were
Yeah.
straight Gucci, and I wanna oh, you haven't seen it yet. Never mind. I'll wait. I'll wait till next time we talk. You're
All
gonna
right.
love it,
Sounds good.
and everyone else out there, I would encourage all of you to please go watch, even though, I gotta say, I canceled Amazon, I canceled Netflix, I
Yeah.
canceled Disney Plus, I can all that shit, but I still steal my wife's login to watch Netflix so I
Yeah.
could watch Extraction 2 and, watch Extraction 2 because apparently Extraction 3 has already been filmed, and they'll only release it if Extraction 2 does well, and it's still in the top 10 movies right now. So go watch that and also go watch The Sound of Freedom and support people that are like us and that think like
Mm.
us.
Yeah. Sound of Freedom is one I definitely want to watch also. Where is that one? Is that like in theaters?
It's only in theaters, yep.
Okay, that's perfect. So, yeah, Sound of Freedom is one that I definitely wanna check out. If you don't follow Our Rescue, it's, Operation Underground Railroad Rescue. Do that. They're all about, rescuing kids and saving them from child trafficking and stuff like that. And, they actually fact check, the movie, and it is very, very factual to what actually took place rescuing all these kids from that island.
Wow.
So check out Our Rescue, but yeah, Sound of Freedom is definitely one that I wanna check out, and I'm also noticing in the chat too, you guys are mentioning IWA International, who we've worked with in the past too. I've got a couple of their little smoke grenades and stuff like that. They make a great 37 millimeter, one that I'm wanting to check out too. So yeah.
Yeah, I saw they made it's not inexpensive, but I'm into 37 mil. I load my own shit. I love it, and, I was looking at their launcher. It's pretty impressive, man. Are you into 37 mil at all?
Um, I haven't really played around with it, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like I would love to, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I've got other things I need to, draw my attention to,
For sure.
not a wannabe 40 mil, you know what I mean? But at the same time,
Damn.
I'm not looking to shit on it, but at the same time, I'm like, "Oh, I do wanna play with it," but for some of the money that that stuff's involved in, it's like we have our SOT, let's just go ahead and start playing with destructive devices and start getting there, let's just start
Yeah.
making our way up, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've been far removed from the gun world for a while. Well, from like actually working at an SOT. I miss that. I miss just being able to go in the safe and grab a 416 and go to the range and,
Yeah.
I still have
Mhm.
my G number just in case anyone's out there looking for somebody to test some shit. But yeah, dude, 37 mil is fun as shit. As long as you know what you're doing, do it safely, which is of course part of everything revolving around firearms, right? Doing it safely.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I encourage anyone to get into it. If you don't have access to, 40 mic, you know, DDs and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I wanna get to one of the other comments over here. Somebody said something, I don't know if I'll be able to find it now, but somebody was saying like, "Dude, why do your why do your shows run so late?" or whatever. I just wanna comment. His name, it is called DLD After Dark.
It is, and honestly, almost every single show is 2 to 3 hours, and it's just I don't know, it just is, sorry.
Yeah,
Um
it's at the same time though, it's like, you guys can always watch, once it's posted, right?
Oh,
So
this cocksucker man, he knows who I am too, and he knows exactly where I'm at, you dirtbag,
oh,
stop being an asshole.
that's funny.
Oh, that's great. And, I just learned this, that Jesus actually carries the Glock 43X as well. I also carry
Ah,
43X, so that's
nice.
good to know.
Mhm.
Alright, well, let's so we don't, upset too many people, let's go ahead and, I'm just kidding, let's bring it to an end on our own terms. JK. But before we go, is there any other, anything you want to leave the viewers with? Any, dad advice, as Grantham calls it, or anything like that
Mhm.
you want to leave with everyone?
Yeah, man, don't be a piece of shit, right?
There you go.
That's a good one, at the end of it all, and that can go for many different things, I just wanna say that ultimately get out there and fight for your Second Amendment right because it's the one that they're attacking because they know that you can't attack back without it, right? So,
Yeah.
just get out there, be an advocate for the Second Amendment, go out there, get involved in your communities, try to be a good citizen, and stay strapped. So that's really all I got to say, man.
Yep, absolutely. That's do you carry inside your home? Just out of curiosity?
Sometimes, not all the time. And what I mean by that is if I know I'm going to be doing stuff out in the yard or whatever, I usually either have my 1911 or my Henry 357 on me or something like that. You know what I mean? But usually I typically have a firearm like literally within
In
about
reach.
if yeah, in reach is an accurate way of putting it because at any point in time in my house, I'm probably about 5 steps from a firearm, but most people wouldn't know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
got you.
Now that might change, as life changes and things like that, and I need to make sure that everything's locked up and secured. But as of right now, it's all adults. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
there's all that. There you go.
Okay, hell yeah. And, Tanner, is that Klitterman? Tanner, thank you for I just noticed. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, "Random question, do you like dirt track racing?"
I mean, I do, but it's not something I actually like. I don't personally. I'm actually a mountain biker. It's been a while since I've rode though.
Nice.
But yeah, I've always enjoyed watching dirt track racing. So I mean, there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's, what is it? Flying Rich, somebody else help me with, the name, but, um Safety Harbor, he has a I think it's Dirt Foot Racing. It's a channel on YouTube. He's in all that kind of shit. So check him out or correct me, guys, if I'm wrong. But yeah, yeah. Thank you for the super chat and the question. I appreciate you. Did we ask him about 40 Smith and Wesson yet? He did.
Yes.
He said he was completely against it and he despises anyone who can. I'm just kidding. No, he didn't say that. He said he doesn't want to be on either end of it. Okay,
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Like I
includes
said,
the
like
shits.
I mean, just to give you a brief summary, 40 cal is going to offer you more of that punch and everything more than what 9 mil can do. But at the same
Yeah.
time, if I'm an everyday, like my concealed carry is going to be a 9 mil. It's
Mhm.
easier to conceal carry. It's lighter. I know I can get good follow up shots, accurate shots with it. Not as much recoil, right? At the end of the day, but at the same time, if I know I'm going to be carrying out into the woods and stuff, I'd rather carry something like a 40. But I do not own a 40. If I am out in the woods and I know I'm in bear and moose country, which if you've ever seen a moose attack, it can get pretty
Oh,
gangly.
yeah.
I do like that T-Sauce 1911 that's chambered in 10 mil, and I've got my
Yeah.
Colt railgun that I'll typically carry that's in 45. You know what I mean? So it's
Nice.
kind of like the 40 is a good in between, but I feel like there's other things that do equally as well, if not better, with less compromise.
I'll also say that I recently saw a video where a bear was shot effectively center mass and in the head with 33 rounds of a combination of 45 ACP, 40 Smith and Wesson, and 10 millimeter. He had a crossbow bolt through one of his lungs, but his fat was so thick it was like 8 inches of fat, not including the meat and bones and all that shit. And he had a combination of 33 rounds in him. And the thing that stopped him in the end was the trail guide finally had to be like, guys, like, stop, you know? And he put 3 rounds of 10 millimeter center mass and one in his head. And the full power 10 millimeter didn't penetrate the skull. But this was
Jesus.
like a monster bear. So, for all the guys that are like, "Yeah, man, I carry my Glock 23 because it'll do what it needs to do in an EDC situation, most likely, but I can also take down a bear." Guys, some wildlife, yeah, I've seen mountain lions hit, and I've seen it. I'll just, be present to the fact that there may be, like, other things, like, bro, the FN 510 is nasty. Highly recommended.
Yeah. Yeah, FN 510 is super cool, but yeah, Ben Cheese, he said something. I don't even remember what it was. I saw the comment. I was like, oh, I want to get to that cocaine bear. Yeah, that's what it was. It was
Cocaine bear.
cocaine bear. I was like, that sounds like it, dude. Holy shit, man.
Dude, seriously, guys, look it up. There's a video. It's like bear takes 33 rounds or something like that. Also, before we go, one quick question, then we're done. Your thoughts on gun building and 3D printed firearms?
Yeah, both. Yes, absolutely.
Oh
To
yeah,
both of them. There's not a difference in my mind, right? Again, just because technology changes doesn't mean your rights change at the end of the day. So if you wanted to build a gun via computer, aka through your 3D printer, then absolutely go for it. And if you want to build your own, like just build it. assemble it ultimately. Yeah, always recommend that because I learned so much after building my first AR, which was actually an Aero Precision AR-10 in 308, and I fell in love with it. You get such a better understanding of the inner workings, how things work, and if you start to see a reliability issue or a fail point, you understand really, really quick, like, oh crap, okay, I know exactly why it's not feeding correctly. I know exactly, I know this is a gas issue because my bolt's not cycling all the way to the rear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I definitely recommend assembling, building, whatever the hell you want to call it. Go about it and do it. You know what I mean? Get out there, and then if you want to, turn it into a business. You know what I mean? And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm all about free market and capitalism and all that type of stuff. Do all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't let anybody stop you either. Don't let it, don't let anybody hinder you and say, oh, well, you'll never be able to build something as cool or as reliable as just buying off the shelf, because that's not true either, because there's been plenty of mass produced guns that have failed and blown up and whatever else. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
um uh, Put it this way, I know more, Daniel Defenses that have failed over the guns that I have built. Granted, I haven't built as many guns as Daniel Defense.
That's a good
I
point.
built, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
that's also a joke. Don't take that with too much seriousness.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I know for a fact that the guns that I have built, yeah, there's they're not going to be as reliable as a factory built gun. They're not going to be to a certain spec or something like that. But that's just me. I throw them together and I have fun with it.
Yeah.
Now, the guns that I build that I know I might want to use in a situation like my AR-10, for instance, I've
Mhm.
got that gun dialed. It is one of the most soft recoiling 308s I've ever shot. It is accurate, and I know every part in and out, and I didn't cheap out on the parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except for the gas block. The gas block is just some cheap adjustable gas block that I got for like 30 bucks or so from our website. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, if
And
it
so
works.
and it works fine. I figured the gas block would be the one thing that I figured needs to work really, really well.
Mhm.
But also I was wanting to try that budget gas block that we had on our website that I can't remember who makes now, of course. So that way I could give honest feedback about it. Like, okay, hey, would you trust this adjustable gas block? And after a few thousand rounds through it, suppressed, yeah, I would. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
happy.
yeah.
I'm happy about that. But yeah, and short answer to the question is yes to both. Go do it, and don't serialize that bitch.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah, we're big on that. And we've been into, the building and 3D printing scene for a while. And honestly, a bunch, and if they were all here, and some of them are right now, a bunch of the guys that are developing these 3D printed firearms are just a bunch of fucking nerds. They're the
Yeah.
coolest nerds you will ever meet, but I mean, and some of them are just cool ass dudes. But shout out to the whole 3D printing movement, the 80%
Mhm.
movement, and just builders in general. Keep exercising your
Oh
rights,
yeah,
like Clint said.
absolutely, man. Printer go burr. And the 3D printer thing is super cool. A buddy of mine, he's an engineer and he gets really into it. He makes 3D prints everything. If he wants a
Yeah.
new like hanger for his keys, he 3D prints it and makes it,
Yeah.
and he makes it whatever style he wants or whatever. So it's a really cool thing. And personally, if I had the time, it's not that I don't have the time. It's if I made the time for it, I would totally get into it. It's just I haven't made that much of a priority. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a whole, depending on what printer you get, but that's a whole another thing in itself. I'll tell you what, if you do ever choose to get into printing, hit me up and I got you. I'll tell you which printer to get to not have to. You can get a printer in that fixing a 3D printer will become your hobby, and then you can
Mm,
get a 3D printer that 3D printing will become your hobby.
huh,
There's
right,
two
understood.
different things, right? It's just like
Yeah,
anything else. And lastly, on Kurt's comment, he said, "Clint, you need to try a Goon Beam. These lights from Goon Beam are
yeah.
110,000 lumens and no 110,000 candela and what 1350 lumens, something like that. It's crazy. It's we call it the cloud killer unofficially because of the cloud defense 100,000 candela light that came out. It's
Well, I mean, with Candela like that, you pretty much got a lightsaber. So,
yeah, I mean, it's basically what it's like when you walk out at night, you shine it up in the sky. It's just like this
mm,
the photonic beam that you get is
Yeah,
just
you're
it's
calling
incredible.
Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's that crazy. All right. Well, in the end, I've kept you now for almost 3 hours, so we'll tie this up, guys. I want to say thank you to all of you guys for coming and hanging out. Clint, thank you so much for coming on the show and hanging out. This is awesome. Remind everybody kind of where they can find you and where they can, come hunt you down and look you up and all that.
Yeah, of course, man. Sure. Before I do that though, JFC Golf 34. Tell your mom, Christine, happy 74th birthday.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, there you go. I just saw that in the comments. I was like, all right, we gotta shout that out, right?
Hell yeah.
So again, yeah, thanks to everybody tuning in and viewing, and thanks Dark for having me on. And of course, guys,
Hell yeah.
yeah, the company Classic Firearms, not my company. I do not own it, but it is a wonderful company that I work for. So Classic Firearms, check them out. And of course, if you guys want to follow me and get more of my personal, not so diluted point of view on things, you can follow me personally, magdump_Morgan. So yeah, thank
Yeah.
you guys. Appreciate it, man.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's really cool to watch your videos, see you on Instagram, and then have you here hanging out. And I know my viewers appreciate it too. So, thank you. I appreciate that. And
Yeah, appreciate it.
and in closing, I have to close with my typical rules, which interestingly enough are some things that you even mentioned tonight, which is rule number one is to be kind. It's so important that we're kind in everything that we do. That brief little interaction that you have with somebody else could have a massive impact on their life. So just be kind.
Mhm.
Like Clint said, don't be a shithead, right? Rule number two is to live a life of care, compassion, contribution, give to others, right? A hand that's open to give is open to receive. So when you bless others, you become blessed. And lastly, rule number three, because we know the only way for us to defeat evil is with good men skilled in violence, make sure that you're becoming as highly skilled in violence as you possibly can be, and be safe, be dangerous, and keep that thing on you. And with that, we're out. I appreciate it. Clint, you can stick around for a second if you want to when you close out, but if you got to run to, that's cool. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Appreciate it.